Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto sneaks into Anbu part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. He did not notice the boy until said boy was halfway done vandalizing the Hokage monument. That, in itself, impressed him. More so was that no one else noticed till after the boy was done and set off a small smoke bomb just to get the village's attention. What followed was a run the likes of which the man had not seen in years. Part of him was greatly impressed as the boy outran, dodged, maneuvered and outthought the elite Anbu, skilled and seasoned jonin, and many chunin. Of course, the other part of him was enraged. Not at the boy, but at the Anbu. How could his elite Anbu, many he trained personally, have let themselves get so sloppy as to let the boy outwit them so easily? The boy had a skill, there was no doubt, and the observer would not take it away from him. But the elite shinobi should not be outsmarted that easily. He watched the blonde and knew who the kid was the moment he saw that shade of blonde hair. He watched as the boy ducked down an alleyway. He saw that the kid let the Chunin Academy instructor catch him, and he watched as the boy smiled and laughed, and joined said instructor for a bowl of ramen. The observer then went to the records room at the academy and looked up the boy's records. What he found made no sense. On paper the boy was less than useless. He made copies of all the graduating students' records and quickly snuck into the teacher's lounge. He observed the teacher's talk, and what he learned tempted him to break his cover as well as their necks. Decades of training in the art of infiltration taught him enough self-control not to do either, but he was severely tested. His next stop was a lone teacher squirreled away in his private office. The teacher Mizuki was asleep, his head was resting on his desk. The observer performed a mind-reading jutsu that the Yamanakas taught him. What he learned tempted him to kill again. This creep planned to use Naruto to steal a scroll from the Hokage's tower, and then frame the boy for treason or outright kill him. Instead of killing the traitor, the observer came up with a plan on the spot. This village would not know what hit them. You passed him? A counselor asked, shocked. Even after he stole a scroll from your personal quarters? Yes, impressive, don't you think? The Hokage asked as he took a few victory puffs from his pipe. Lord Hokage, you can't be serious. We can't let him represent Konoha as a shinobi, he will be an embarrassment. The boy could barely pass, and he shows no outright skill other than making trouble. The counselor had taken a different approach to attacking Naruto, knowing how the Hokage favored the boy. The Hokage sat there and frowned. He opened his mouth, was about to reply. 168. A voice broke the silence. Everyone froze. Although they couldn't describe the person who spoke, some sort of jutsu or genjutsu hid him, they knew that voice. Hiruzen reached into his desk and pulled out an old dusty calendar where he checked the date. You're late. Your banishment ended 7 days ago, the old man spoke. I have been here. I was taking care of the paperwork for the last 10 years. The Sandaime Hokage just nodded. Welcome home, Kuzai. 168. The number of Anbu, Jonin, and Chunin the boy was able to outsmart and outrun, not to mention the fact that no one saw him paint the monument until after he was done. You say he has no skills but causing trouble? Kuzai said as he looked at the still silent men. How many missions have we done that involved sabotage? You know, sneak and raise hell, sneak out without getting caught. The boy is a natural. He continued. Regardless, his grades in the academy were the lowest, he is the dead last. He can't even perform a simple clone jutsu. No Uzumaki will ever be able to perform the simple clone. It's written in the academy teacher's guide, their chakra reserves are too large. Everyone saw the Sandaime blush before clearing his throat. That is correct, since he is an Uzumaki, then by the rules, I should have checked his chakra reserves. And if they were found to be at a certain level, he was supposed to be given access to one of his family jutsu. Kuzai finished and stared down the men and women in the room. Family jutsus? A woman Chunin asked, confused. Yes, a jutsu invented by the Uzumaki clan as their primary training tool, the reason they were so powerful. Which jutsu? Said a Chunin with a scar on his nose. Kuzai recognized the Chunin as the only academy instructor worth his rank and pay, Irika Yumino. Shadow clone jutsu. It was customary for young students between 8 and 10 to start training with the clones in Yuzu. Tobarama Senju the Nidaime invented the shadow clone jutsu. Kuzai just stared at the Chunin, says who? Before the Chunin could reply, the Hokage cleared his throat. The Nidaime did not invent the jutsu, but he did convince Mito Senju, born Mito Uzumaki, to share the jutsu with Konohagakure. They were silent for a few minutes as Kuzai just smirked at the old man. So that is why Irika started and when most looked at him. The shadow clone jutsu was what he used to beat Mizuki. Yes, Kuzai interrupted. That was how he could learn and use the skills so quickly. And with such power that jutsu is literally in his blood. Wait a minute, the Hokage spoke. Did you know about Mizuki's plan beforehand? Kuzai just smiled, of course. I wanted to see what the kid could do, especially with all the sabotage to his training at the academy. There was no sabotage. The demon brat, the head academy instructor, started to yell when he was silenced by the massive killing intent that radiated from the Hokage. What kind of sabotage? The Hokage asked calmly as he stared at his soon-to-be the former head instructor. Kuzai just stood and waited, smirking, but said nothing. He noticed Irika was blushing in shame and anger. Shame that he did not notice Naruto's need for extra chakra control lessons, and anger that anyone would abuse their duty as a teacher. Many of the other instructors were starting to sweat. Some knew about the sabotage, and were worried that they would also be punished. The head instructor wanted to quietly slip away but couldn't, as Kuzai never took his eye off of him. "That place is a mess," a new voice rang out as someone else walked into the room. Most of the people in the room, including Iruka, really started to sweat when they noticed the scarred face of Ibiki Marino. "Was I right?" Kuzai asked calmly. "More than I thought possible. The bastard was working for and planned to give the scroll to Orochimaru," Ibiki replied. "Iruka is also cleared." At the mention of his name, the Chunin looked up. "Iruka, stay," Hiruzen spoke calmly. "The rest of you will head to TNI. Ibiki will be there to speak with you, and if any of you try to resist, I will send Kuzai for you. Note that he has been our chief assassin for close to 40 years. Dismissed. As the group stood and left, fearful of what was in store for them, Kuzai, Ibiki, and the Hokage just waited. Iruka was the one sweating. When the last person left, Kuzai performed a hand sign and the obscuring jutsu was broken. Now that Iruka had a good view, he saw a man who initially appeared in his 40s, though Iruka could tell by Kuzai's body language that he had far more experience and wisdom than his appearance showed. Kuzai had the look of the traders from the West, short hair, a long black leather coat, and round glasses with side covers. Iruka could not see his eyes, but the overall impression was of an average man. So average that Kuzai could probably blend into any crowd and no one would notice him. Uzumaki, Ibiki handed a folder to the Hokage, was not the only one affected by tampering. The Hokage took a long look at the file before handing it to Iruka, who paled at the information. How can we fix this? Did any of the students know?" the Chunin asked as he read. "No, they appear to be innocent. I will know for sure after I speak with the rest of the teachers," Ibiki replied calmly. "So what do we hold them back? Retest them, punish them for their teachers?" Iruka asked, not sure how he felt about that. "No," Kuzai replied. "But we can fix this problem. Or rather, I can fix this if you agree to it, Lord Hokage." "Kuzai, you have been an ANBU instructor for many years, the chief instructor for the ANBU training camp," Hiruzen started. "But we are at peacetime. When was the last time you trained students this young?" "Itachi," was the elite's reply. "But I do understand your concern. A fool I am not. I can train them to match their skills and age, and I will have with me to make sure I do not cross the line." The Hokage just nodded. "What do you need?" "Delay the team selection an extra week," he replied. Kuzai looked at his watch and glanced at Iruka. "Send out a notice to all who passed. 2 days from now is a mandatory training day for all students. 10 in the morning will be fine." The Hokage and Iruka both nodded. "Anything else?" "I want Nico to help, without her mask." "Also," Kuzai looked at the silent Ibiki. "I want Anko." Hiruzen was concerned. "Anko is not the best with children." "Are you sure? You have a lot of fangirls pretending to be Kunoichi. Anko can and will weed them out. We cannot punish them for their teachers, but we can wake them up to the truth." No one spoke. Kuzai grabbed the list of students that passed and started writing as he waited. Iruka returned to reading the report, while Hiruzen smoked his pipe and stared at his elite assassin and ANBU instructor. "About a week, that should weed out the weak and give those that pass time to rest," Kuzai replied calmly, "and for the record, I believe only these 9 will make it. The rest couldn't possibly pass due to either lack of skill, desire, or just plain stupidity." Handing the list to the Hokage just nodded. "Are we done?" "For tonight, but know this, boy," as he looked at the aged Hokage. "You made a lot of mistakes while I was gone. I can fix most of them, but I am not done busting your balls." It was 6 in the morning, the day after his fight with Mizuki, and Naruto woke up groggy and tired. Just as he finished his morning routine, a knock came from the door. Quickly moving to check the peephole, he smiled as he opened the door. "Gigi?" "Naruto, this is Jonin Kuzai, the old man. He wishes to speak with you." "May we come in?" Naruto nodded as he watched the new man. Kuzai wore a long black trench coat, buttoned closed. His face and hair seemed plain yet neat. His glasses were round, dark, and had side guards that made it impossible for anyone to see his eyes. It reminded Naruto a lot of Shino and the Aburame clan, so Naruto started looking between the two. "What did you?" "Kushina Uzumaki," the man started. "That was your mother's name. She was a hell of a powerful shinobi and one of the best bare-handed fighters I had seen in a long time." Naruto was shocked. No one, not even the old man, had actually told him about his parents. Either of them. "Her name was kept from you due to her enemies. As an Uzumaki, she was wanted dead by many in Kumo, Iwa, and Kiri. For the record, I understand the need to secrecy, but I did not agree with the plan to keep this information away from you. As a shinobi of the leaf, understand that you can't tell anyone about her yet." Naruto stared at the man, then at his adopted grandfather, then back at the man and nodded. "Your father had more enemies than your mother, so no, I cannot tell you about him yet. Know that he was a damn strong ninja and a good man. Never let anyone speak badly about him." Again, Naruto nodded. As much as he wanted to know, something told him that the info could and probably would kill him if he knew now. The Jonin admitted to knowing who his father was. He hadn't tried to lie and pretend he didn't know. The strange Jonin had also made it clear that Naruto's father had a ton of enemies. For now, the lack of a name did not bother him. Naruto, the Hokage started. After the incident with Mizuki, we looked more closely at all of the instructors at the academy. You and many other students were cheated in your training, the man interrupted. None of you should have passed. However, we cannot punish you for your teacher's failures. In order to make sure everyone is trained correctly, you and your class will be put through a special training camp the day after tomorrow at 10 a.m. This camp will help you prepare for your team selection and final test. What test? Naruto replied as he picked up that detail. You're not a ninja yet. No one is a ninja until they have passed the final test set by their Jonin instructor. Although nobody could see Kuzai's eyes, Naruto got the distinct impression he was glaring at the Hokage. Telling you that you are a ninja of the village after passing the academy tests is something I never agreed with. So, is that why you are here? You wanted to tell me about this training camp? Naruto asked. No, an official letter will be sent to all the students, the Hokage replied. We are here because Kuzai plans to give you a jump start to your training. Since your education was sabotaged the most, we decided that you need some extra help. Naruto looked half thrilled at extra training and half skeptical as he stared at the Jonin. He was the head instructor for the Anbu for many years. He has been out of the village for over 10 years. Hiruzen began to say, my training will make you stronger, the Kuzai bluntly interrupted. Naruto began to smile his trademark grin but then stopped. That was the second time that the Jonin had interrupted the Hokage. Despite the fact that he was getting answers, Naruto did not like anyone disrespecting his Jiji. Is it not rude to disrespect the Hokage like that? Sure, I tease and prank him constantly, but he knows I do it with total respect despite what anyone else sees. You, Naruto, Kuzai is older than me, the Hokage spoke up. He is one of my former teachers and has been one of my biggest critics for longer than you have been alive. He knows when to respect me. To be a good Hokage you will need a friend and an advisor that has the ability to speak to you as an equal, and Kuzai is one of mine. Naruto was not sure how to respond, so he just growled and went to get dressed. Meet at training ground 93, I will be there soon. The Jonin said as Naruto nodded again and headed out the door. The two older men followed him at a slow pace as they walked down the hall. I guess we are done for this morning? The Hokage asked. No, I have one more thing to tell you. With a sigh the old ninja turned to face Kuzai, only to see a fist at the last second. The punch dropped Hiruzen hard and he felt the bones of his nose breaking. Kuzai stood over the Hokage. That, Lord Hokage, was for disregarding my warning and giving that damn snake a genin team. You better think real hard starting now. I can fix most of your past mistakes, but if you make any more I won't wait for your enemies to deal with you, I will kill you myself. Naruto watched his strange new teacher walk into the clearing. The man watched the boy calmly as he unbuttoned a few buttons on his coat in order to give himself more room for his legs to move. We will spar now, taijutsu only. Give me everything you have if you can knock me off my feet. I will pay for all your ramen for the next 30 days. Naruto attacked hard but Kuzai easily blocked his first punch and threw him away. Naruto managed to flip around and land feet first on a tree, which he used to launch another attack. That set the pattern for the sparring session. The Jonin noticed that Naruto could take a hit and get right back up, so he started to hit harder and harder each time. The boy just would not stay down. Naruto's forms were so sloppy it was almost embarrassing, but Kuzai was impressed with his talent for improvisation. Not that Naruto ever came close to actually landing a hit. Naruto was only a little upset. He realized that this was his first time sparring with someone outside of class, and if he was honest, he was enjoying it. It was fun, even when he missed a punch and Kuzai punched him in the back of the head, driving his face down into the grass. Soon there was a ding and Kuzai motioned for a stop. What? Why? Naruto asked, breathing a little hard but still able to go. We have just sparred for 1 hour. I have learned what I needed, Kuzai replied, shocking Naruto with the time. Now it is time to improve on what you can do. Show me your shadow clone jutsu and make 10 clones. Making the hand sign he shouted the words. 12 clones appeared. Kuzai did not say anything, he just made the same sign and 3 of his own clones appeared without a sound or smoke. He looked at the clones. You 5 with him, you 3 with him and you 4 with him, he told Naruto's clones. He told his own. You know your orders. Kuzai's clones nodded and took their assigned clones into the woods. Now, that clone jutsu is special. Everything they learn you will learn when they dispel. Shadow clones have been a primary teaching tool for many years. Yes, they are good in combat since they know everything you know and can fight as well as you do, but your clan primarily used them for their ability in training. I have a clan? Naruto asked, shocked. Had. You had a clan, though they were wiped out many years ago. As far as we know you are the last, but now is not history class. I will make sure you learn the truth soon. Naruto wanted to ask more questions but stopped and waited. Now of all the things your clones can do, one thing you and only you can improve on is your physical conditioning. Here the man got an evil smile. Sit up, start. Naruto got down and started. He was slow and sluggish and, how many? Naruto asked after a few minutes. The man took a meditative seat and breathed out to relax, till I'm tired. He was not joking. Naruto continued to do sit-ups for what felt like hours. He was panting, grunting, groaning and hurting. He even stopped twice to throw up. Kuzai only asked if he had got it all up and told him to continue. Then the ding interrupted them both. That's 2 hours, switch to push-ups. When it dings again, start jumping squats, Kuzai ordered. Naruto obeyed. Although he was sore and hurting, he really wasn't tired. He also felt the pride that comes from was getting a good workout. After the final ding, Naruto stopped and was almost ready to collapse to the ground. Stretch out so you don't cramp up, Kuzai spoke as he handed a water bottle to the boy. Naruto just nodded as he took a drink and stretched. The silence was starting to grow. He had been silent for hours, and anyone that knew the blonde knew it would not last. You know a lot about me, Naruto started. Do you know about? And the boy trailed off, not sure how to mention it. The fox? Kuzai asked. When Naruto nodded, he continued, I know more about that fox than anyone alive at the moment. Naruto looked at him waiting. I am old enough that I was there during the battle between Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju at the Valley of the End. I watched as the fox was sealed into a person, called a Jinchuriki. That person was Mito Senju, who was born Mito Uzumaki. Naruto was shocked by that. What I am telling you can't be bragged about or boasted about. There are people in this village that would either try to use you for their schemes or outright kill you. That's another reason the knowledge of your family was kept secret. Naruto stopped again. I understand, and if people knew, I'm sure they would treat me better only because of my ancestor, and not because I had earned their respect. I want to be respected for my own achievements, not theirs. Good, now back to the fox. I have spent a lot of my life studying demons, and the fox is probably the most powerful and most corrupted of them all. Hatred and cruelty have warped his mind. Here Kuzai stopped and looked out into the woods as if he was remembering something. He remembered what it was like before Madara showed the world just how big of an ass he truly was. He was thinking about how the fox used to search out evil and hate-filled humans. The fox attacked them, as he tried to preserve its father's dream. Kuzai-sensei? Naruto asked, concerned. Chief. Call me Chief. He replied, I am the chief instructor for the Anbu training camp. Are you okay, Chief? You went quiet, Naruto asked. The Ninetales, who has a name though I will not tell it to you, has been abused and hunted and harmed by humans for many years. His outlook seems to have turned dark. The best thing you can do is be respectful of him. He is not a mindless killing machine but a creature of the world, with dreams and feeling and desires just like you. That is not to say he won't try to hurt you. He is a prisoner, and no prisoner likes their cage. He will try to trick you so he can escape. It is not the time for that yet, just remember that no prisoner likes their cage. Here Kuzai stopped, shifting his head to the side. Okay, the first of your clones are about to dissipate, get ready. Naruto nodded and stood up. It did not take long before he felt a rush of information. Next, he walked over to a tree and started to walk up to it slowly. Once he was certain of his footing, he began to go faster. Cool, this is awesome, he shouted as he ran up the tree and along the underside of a branch before jumping and flipping to land on his feet. Then a second rush hit him. When he looked around, he could not find any water, but that was okay since he had not yet mastered that training. We can walk on water? He asked, shocked. Yes, it is a basic but very important skill. Once you have learned both tree and water walking, I will teach you how to fight using both. Woo-ho, I will be stronger. The Sasuke team in no. Naruto was quickly silenced by a slap to the back of his head. He glared up at the man, only to be frozen by a glance. Focus! You are a shinobi of the leaf. There are more important things than who is stronger. In fact, Who is Stronger is a playground game that has no place anywhere but the playground. You have a long way to go and much to learn as you grow. That game is over starting now. The growl in his voice made it clear that Kuzai was serious about this, and even the somewhat stupid blonde knew not to argue it. Okay, the third group should be about ready. Again, Naruto got ready. This time the rush came harder, and he stared out into the woods for a moment. He started to perform a kata, working through each step slowly. When he made a mistake, Naruto would stop, correct his position, and then continue. He did not master it right away, but now he could see his mistakes and how to correct them. It made Naruto realize, without a doubt, that the chief could and would make him a better ninja. Go to the bathhouse. I want you to soak good and long. Your body will be sore, and tomorrow we will do this again. Meet me here at the same time. And with that, Kuzai vanished. Naruto did not know what to think, so he just followed his orders. Kakashi Hatake sat on the memorial stone as he read his book. He was reading it to all the friends he had lost so they would not miss out on the golden literature. As he turned a page, he realized that someone was squatting down on the rock behind him. The copy ninja closed his book and put it in his vest. He drew a kunai and the fight was on. It was the most one-sided fight the Anbu captain had ever been in. He could not hit the person. Hell, he couldn't even see him. Yet this guy, and he was sure it was male, would hit him. Hard over and over and over again. After the third time his face was planted into the large rock, Kakashi lifted his Hitite and revealed his 3-tomo Sharingan. That only made the attacks come harder, faster, and nastier. He could not move, attack, defend, or even breathe. What was worse was that he could not track his attacker. Wait, there is no intent. Kakashi thought to himself. There was only one time anyone had ever handed him his ass this badly without any malicious intent. His face was again slammed into the rock. Greetings, Chief. Welcome back, Kakashi spoke as he slowly stood and re-hid his eye. The man just stared at the copy ninja as he waited. When did you return? Kakashi asked, reaching his feet. My banishment ended 7 days ago. I am not happy with what I learned in those 7 days. Kakashi did not reply, he knew better. This man was not one to piss off, and if you somehow managed to do that, Kami have mercy because Kuzai wouldn't. Naruto Uzumaki is Kushina's son, Kuzai started to speak. The day you die, I have no doubt the first people you will meet will be his parents, both of them. Kakashi did not speak. He knew he was in trouble. His inability to care for the boy, even from the shadows, warranted whatever beating the boy's parents would deliver. At that moment the copy ninja felt the first drops of rain start, and heard a rolling of thunder. 1 hour, full assembly, Kuzai said as he vanished. The storm started to fall into a fury. Naruto was almost to his apartment when the rain hit. It came down in sheets as the lightning flashed and thunder rolled. In seconds he was soaked. All he cared about was getting someplace with 4 walls and a roof. He was just getting to the door of his apartment building. Choo! Came a very soft sneeze, as though whoever did it was doing their best not to be heard. Naruto found a girl with indigo hair trying to hide in a small badly covered porch. He knew who she was, Hinata Hyuga, the cute girl that he had a crush on since the day he saved her from 3 bullies. She was soaked in her oversized coat and starting to shiver. Hinata? Hinata-chan? Naruto spoke out just loud enough to be heard over the rain. She looked up as he got close, her face inches from his. She could not help it, she blushed a deep red and was only seconds away from. If you faint it will be much harder, Naruto whispered. Stay awake for me. She looked into his eyes and somehow, she was able to regain her footing. She gave a soft nod. Naruto did the only thing he could, he took her arm and led her up to his apartment. Once inside he handed her a clean towel and robe, then quickly showed her to the bathroom. Once she went in he turned around and looked at the mess that was his apartment. He made a large group of clones and set them to cleaning, sending 2 more out on errands. It was barely 3 in the afternoon, but the storm raged and blocked out any light. So, it was dark when every Anbu and elite jonin of the Leaf Village stood in formation. Everyone in formation stared at the man at the front. He stood back straight, feet apart, hands clasped at the small of his back. No one knew what to think when they heard the call. Much less why it was the copy ninja that called the assembly. A flash of lightning came and everyone felt his presence. There was no mistaking that aura, he had returned. Kakashi snapped to attention without a sound. Those that weren't already at attention quickly followed him. 2 people started to walk up the center of the formation. One was the Sandaime Hokage, dressed in his formal Hokage robes, though his robes were open to reveal his battle gear. He was carrying his legendary staff. The second man wore a long black leather trench coat and a pair of dark circle-rimmed glasses with side guards. Other than that, he appeared average and easily overlooked. The 2 walked up and stood before Kakashi the copy ninja to step back, and the 2 men turned to face the mass. You know who I am, and what I have done. I know who each and every one of you is, what you can do and what you have not done. Kuzai spoke calmly as he looked around. I am not impressed. In fact, I am completely pissed off. A shiver went up the spines of every Anbu and jonin. Only their training kept them from running from this one man's intent. I am thinking about stripping you all of your ranks, cutting your pay and making you rerun the gauntlet. No one spoke, though a shiver went through the formation. You all owe your Hokage for preventing that. I trained you better than this. Kuzai finished. An Anbu boar stepped forward. Chief, I and many others are not. We do not understand. The boy, Kuzai replied, is skilled and clever. I am impressed. But none of you saw him painting the monument till after he was done. Most of you did not see him until he set off a smoke bomb. And then he outran all of you. He is skilled, yes. He did it with piss per training, yes. He impressed me, yes. But you all let yourselves get sloppy. The group started to look around. Some ashamed to admit he was right. Some wondered about the poor training. Another person stepped up. She had purple hair and a cat mask. Chief, there is something else, isn't there? Something you have not told us yet. Nico asked. War, Kuzai replied. There is a war coming, at best in less than 5 years, and there is no stopping it. That silenced everyone, even the Hokage. That is all. Dismissed. Kuzai barked and turned his back to them. Most started to leave in quiet groups. Soon it was just the Hokage, copy ninja, Kuzai and one other person. Hello, asshole, Kuzai called out as the 4th person stepped up. A lightning flash illuminated the face of Hayashi Hyuga. The elite jonin and head of the strongest clan hesitated at the insult but did not let it stop him. Chief Kuzai, I do not appreciate being dragged out in the rain. I am no longer an active shinobi and am no longer under your control. I heard you had retired, Kuzai stated as he turned to face the jonin. Strange thing is, I did not have your paperwork on my desk. Even with my banishment, it was a simple rule. Once your paperwork goes through the chain of command and lands on my desk, not the Hokage, not the jonin commander's my desk, then it is official. Hayashi knew to tread carefully. This shinobi was not one to be arrogant with. Are you sure you did not misplace it? 10 years is a long time. Kuzai gave a smile that put Hayashi on alert. True, very true. That document could have easily gotten lost, stolen. There are a million different reasons why I did not find it. Hayashi was starting to get ready for a fight. He knew this man better than most, and he realized then and there he was being set up. But you have still received your monthly pay, every month on time. And you have never put in the paperwork to stop payment. Kuzai smiled as Hayashi paled. Now when a clan head goes on long-term sabbatical in order to run their clan, which I might add is perfectly legal, they can keep their pay. Otherwise, you are guilty of stealing from the village. Thief, or sabbatical? Sabbatical, chief, Hayashi replied quickly, standing at attention. Hokage, Kakashi, I will speak with you soon. Walk with me, Huga. And Kuzai led the clan leader away while Kakashi looked at the Hokage. He is very pissed, the copy ninja asked concerned. Our time of peace is over, Hiruzen replied as his shoulders sagged. I just hope our will of fire will be strong enough. Special training camp? Ino asked confused as she looked at her father, then Shikamaru and Choji. These were her fellow classmates, and the sons of her father's teammates. There was no doubt this would be her team. The boys just shrugged as they turned to their fathers. Why? I thought we passed. We don't know, the elder Nara spoke. We just got the message. All graduates report to training ground 93 at 10 in the morning the day after tomorrow, the elder Yamanaka continued. A direct order from the Hokage, Choji's father finished. As shinobi of the leaf, you will be expected to follow orders even if said orders have no other information. The three kids just looked at their fathers. There was a message in that last statement. Choji knew there was a hidden meaning but could not find it. Shikamaru got the hint very quickly. Troublesome was the only thing he could think of. Ino did not understand at all. But she knew one thing: when her father looked at her with those eyes she would not get answers. As the rain continued to fall, the Yamanakas left for home. Choji's father had duty that night, so Choji stayed with Shikamaru. Shikamaru noticed it was barely 5 in the afternoon, and there was time to kill. Shino? Choji asked as if he could read his friend's mind. And Kiba. Something is going on, and I know in my bones not knowing what will be more troublesome than finding out. Kiba was slipping through the trees using the rain to cover his scent. He wanted to avoid being tracked by his mother, though he did not know how foolish that was. She knew where he was as well as why he was going. He came across an old house with a roof that barely kept the water out. Inside he saw Choji and Shikamaru waiting. As he entered he picked up the other scent. Shino was there as well. Hey guys, what, no Naruto? Correct, Shino replied as he stepped out of shadows. Okay, we are all here for the same reason, right? Choji asked as he munched on his bag of chips. Training camp? Kiba asked to make sure. Correct. My father had returned from a special summons when we got the notice. Shino informed them. Our fathers too, Shikamaru replied, and Choji nodded. My mom as well. She had a look in her eye that scared me. I have never seen her with that look. Kiba finished. There is a new person in the village, Shino started. I know next to nothing about him, but he seems to have some power over the Hokage and many of the village's top shinobi. My allies have not been able to get close to him. That surprised the other three, as Shino never failed to tag someone. Well, almost never failed. For some reason, he still was unable to tag Naruto. I learned while listening in on some older shinobi that he is called Kuzai, and many refer to him as the chief. He appears to be a special instructor with an elite jonin rank. Many spoke about him in hushed voices. Shino finished his report. I picked up on a scent once, but I can't find it again, Kiba replied, scratching his head. This has Naruto, Choji started as he munched on more chips. Written all over it. No, it's something else, Shikamaru replied. Well, something more. No doubt Naruto is involved, but there is something else. How did Ino take the news? Kiba asked as he wondered about that something else. Blew it off completely, Shikamaru replied. I still cannot see how a member of the Yamanaka clan could be so oblivious. Perhaps she is faking being stupid or lazy like we do, Kiba spoke. He stopped to look at Shino. Well, most of us do. Choji snorted as he ate. Wish she was. Me and Shikamaru are bound to be on a team with her. But to be honest, Shikamaru will have to do all the thinking while I do the heavy lifting, including carrying her skinny butt. My sympathies, Kiba replied in a truly mournful voice. Shino, they still planning that tracking team with you, me and Hinata? Yes, that does still seem the plan, but I have good news, Shino replied and looked at the puppy sitting at Kiba's feet. Naruto has dropped the facade of being oblivious about Hinata. Akamaru barked and looked at his partner. Kiba looked shocked. Really? Is that why he's not here now? Kiba asked. Yes, when I went to collect him I heard him speaking to her in his apartment, Shino replied. His apartment? He isn't doing anything with her that would be wrong, is he? My friend, he may be, but she is too nice a girl to be rushed, Kiba started. You know Naruto better than that. I very much doubt Naruto would try anything, Shino replied as he adjusted his glasses. What are you not telling us? Shikamaru smiled. He was the only one that could read Shino. Shino adjusting his glasses was the closest thing to the Aburame blushing. What the four boys did not know was that their fathers and Kiba's mother were hidden in the roof of their hideout. With them was Kuzai, who sat and just listened. Once the boys left, the 4 men and 1 woman dropped out of their hiding spot. Your boy is skilled, Kuzai spoke as he looked at Shibi Aburame. Especially with information gathering. Maybe we should introduce him to Jiraiya. All of our sons seems to be more than we thought. Choza Akimichi spoke. Do you really think you can help Ino? Shikako asked, looking at the chief. I may tease Kunoichi about having a daughter, but I would hate to see his child get killed or fail as a Kunoichi. Mai and Anko will take care of her, Kuzai replied. Who knew my boy actually had a brain? Some laughed. I thought he was just a braggart like I was at that age. I guess I won't have as much to break out of him as I did with you, a puppy? Kuzai smiled as he looked at the woman. Probably not, she replied, ignoring the old nickname Kuzai used for every member of her family. But I am sure there are a few rough edges for you to polish. There is always an edge to polish, the chief replied. Still, Shikako started. It is impressive how much your son knows, Shibi. You realize he knows more than he should about many things? Yes, I am rather proud of him, the Aburame replied, not fazed. Your son seems to be just as intelligent. It is clear your sons befriended Naruto, Kuzai started. But that does not explain why his taijutsu is so poor. Did they not practice together? Shino informed me that every time they started, a chunin would interrupt them, Shino's father replied. Not to mention taijutsu is not a specialty of the Aburames, or Naras. Most of Choji's techniques are based on his clans, not really helpful to the boy, Choza added. Your sister-in-law should be back soon, she will deal with that mistake, Kuzai replied, shocking the large Akimichi. My boy was just lazy, the woman growled. Fuck that damn law, made it really hard to help his son, Kuzai just nodded. That interference is over, so now I suggest they start training together after the camp. Don't worry, I will handle the details, the chief spoke, and the group felt confident it would be handled. How troublesome are you going to be? The Jonin commander asked. I am going to rewrite the definition of the word, the elite replied with a smile that could only be called evil. Are you a clone? Hayashi asked as he and Kuzai walked the village from one end to the other in silence. Very good. Was that a guess or did you actually work it out this time? The clone replied. Hayashi just grimaced. He knew this guy was always one step ahead of him. Knowing that did not make it easier. You are less than pleased with me, Hayashi asked calmly. I am debating whether or not I should just kill you right now or put you through hell first, and then kill you. The chief replied. Hayashi grimaced again. It was worse than he thought. The chief was not here as a commanding officer of the shinobi forces, he was here as. What are you doing here? Chief asked, breaking Hayashi's train of thought. The clan had spotted a soaked kid with an orange jumpsuit and blonde hair. Oh, hey chief, I was looking for Hyuga-sama. I did not know you knew him. He is an elite jonin. Why are you looking for him? The chief replied and asked again. Naruto turned to look at the clan head. Hyuga-sama. I was sent by Naruto Uzumaki to inform you that he ran into your daughter as the storm broke. He motioned to the still falling rain. She was quickly drenched. To ensure she did not get sick, he took her to his apartment to get dry and sent me to inform you. Sent you? You are not Shadow Clone? Hayashi asked, realizing it too late. Yes, sir, the clone replied. Thank you, chief broke in. Dispel and let him know his message is received. Before Hayashi could speak, the boy's clone vanished in a puff of smoke. I must go collect, Hayashi started. Sit, shut up, and wait, chief replied as he grabbed the clan head and dragged him under the awning of a food stand. But, do you really want to get into this argument with me, Hayashi? The clone chief replied. What the hell do you mean I'm going to be training brats? Anko shouted as she jumped from her seat. She had been sitting in Ibiki's office. Just what I said, Chief Instructor Kuzai has asked for your help dealing with the Kunoichis and asked for you by name. Who the hell is he and why should I obey? She growled and Ibiki realized she had not had the pleasure of meeting the chief. He is not only the man that taught me how to interrogate, Ibiki started. He is also the only person to fully skin a human alive and keep him alive after he was done. No way. You mean it can be done? She cried. I thought we used the attempt to get the prisoner to talk. I did not know it was actually possible. As I said, he is the only one to complete it. Now you and your friend, Anbu Nico, will be helping him for about a week. Maybe I can get him to show me how to skin, Anko replied with stars in her eyes. Anko! Ibiki barked, pulling the girl from her thoughts. Chief Kuzai does not tolerate weak females, especially Kunoichis. If you want to impress him, make sure you go with a focused mind. Naruto watched as his clones finished cleaning the apartment. Hinata was still in the bathroom. It had been almost an hour since they arrived, and he was starting to worry about her. Once the clones were done, he had them start to perform the katas the chief had shown him. He decided to exercise, but before he could start, Hinata finally emerged from the bathroom. She was wearing the large bathrobe he had loaned her. She looked for a dryer and Naruto simply waved to the back corner where his small washer/dryer was hidden. The clones watched her out of the corners of their eyes but did not speak as she put her clothes in the dryer and sat on the couch with Naruto, keeping a little space between them. She fidgeted with her fingers, checking and double-checking that her robe fits perfectly and covered everything. Just as she was about to speak, I am sorry, Naruto spoke as he turned to look her in the eyes. That shocked her. Sorry? Why was he sorry? I am sorry, I acted as if I forgot or did not notice you, Hinata. Hinata, stay awake for me. His request was almost too late. Hinata was already turning a deep red and about to faint, but like before she managed to fight it off. I remember when I saved you from those bullies, and how your guardian told you not to speak to me. I had every intention of finding you and becoming your friend. What, why? She asked, and Naruto looked straight at her. 'Cause you are probably the kindest girl there is. You are smart and strong, yet not arrogant like the rest of your family, and when you're not around them you treat people kindly, especially young children. Plus, you have a lovely smile and a beautiful blush. Naturally, the mentioned blush returned to her face, but she shook her head. I mean, why didn't you come find me? She asked. She was worried he would say because you're not as strong as I thought, or you're too much of a failure, things her family had said many times, 2 of your clan elders. And he spits the word elder, as if it was venomous. They cornered me the next day and made it clear if I spoke to you they would end me. As an orphan living alone and with almost no help, I could not stand up to 2 elders of one of the village's most powerful clans, so I forced myself to stay away. Well, almost. Here he grinned, that prankster grin she loved so much. Did you realize that those bullies never bothered you again? She nodded and blushed. I have been making sure you weren't bullied as much as possible, but I have not been able to do anything about your family. He looked down in shame. Know this. You are not alone, and that door, he pointed to his front door, is always open to you. She knew that not only her face but her whole body was blushing. She was on the verge of passing out again. Ano T, thank you Naruto-kun. My pleasure Hinata-chan. And that did it? She had resisted the feint repeatedly, but this time she could not win. Hinata passed out on the couch, but instead of leaning away from Naruto she leaned towards him. Now she was out cold with her head on his shoulder. Naruto froze. Great. Just great. Now what do I do? Should I wake her? He thought as he watched her sleep, a smile on her face. Nope, not going to wake her. Just then an exceptionally light knock came from his front door. He knew who it was but could not call, so he just tapped a code softly on the wall behind him. The front door slowly opened as Shino Aburame silently moved in, kunai in hand. The use of that code made Shino worried that someone had tried to attack Naruto in his apartment again. What he found was a scene so adorable that he really wanted a camera. The blackmail he could muster from a picture would be worth the young blonde's rage. Naturally, Shino did not let any of these emotions show. He was an Aburame after all. Shikamaru called a meeting, but I see you won't make it. Shino spoke in a low whisper so that Hinata would not wake. There is to be a training camp, you know all about that, don't you? Shino noticed the smile on the blonde's face. Naruto just nodded, careful not to wake Hinata. She might not recover if she knew someone besides Naruto had seen her like this, even if it was Shino. She was following me again, Naruto started after a few moments of silence. She got caught in the rain and sneezed. I couldn't let her get sick, so I decided to end the facade. Good, Akamaru will be happy, Shino replied. He enjoys it when she rubs his belly. Now that she will be in our little group, here he took Naruto's nod as confirmation he will be happy to get them daily. Naruto smiled. I will let them know you won't make it. For Hinata's sake, I won't tell them too much. Shino said as he turned to leave. Once it is out that she is talking with me, her family will try to harm her, Naruto warned. We should plan to drop our facade soon, and all at the same time. She will need us. Shino nodded and left without a word. Naruto sat on the couch, unable to move for fear of waking the cute little Huga. Trying to find something to keep him occupied while he waited, he noticed a book on the end table. Carefully picking it up without jostling Hinata, he saw a note attached. This should be a good read for you, Chief. Naruto looked at the book. He wasn't as stupid as people thought, but he knew he wasn't a prodigy, or a genius. He sure as hell did not do well in bookwork. But the chief had yet to be wrong and he literally couldn't do anything else, so he looked at the cover. PRE Beginner's Guide to Fuinjutsu, or Sealing for the Stupid. After a bit more hesitation, Naruto cracked open the book and started reading. Kurenai sat at a table in a private room of her preferred restaurant as she went over some files about her future students. She was going to be leading a tracking team. The members would be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga. That last name put a smile on her face. She liked Hinata, cared for her. She knew that the girl had the potential to surpass any Kunoichi before her, including her mother. If only she had not been raised by that arrogant white-eyed bastard of a father. The good news was that Hiashi Hyuga had placed Hinata in her charge the week before. Of course, his parting words had filled the Genjutsu mistress with more hate than she thought she could ever have. Her longtime friends arrived. First was Yugao, otherwise known as Nico, though they kept to the general rule of we do not know, talk about it or guess. The purple-haired sword user slid into the seat to Kurenai's left and poured herself some sake. Next was Tsum, the clan leader and alpha, queen bitch to her closest friends and enemies, of the Inuzuka clan. Hello ladies, why don't we look relaxed? Tsum started as she turned a chair around and straddled it as she sat. Seems your males have been useful. The dog woman grinned evilly as she saw the start of a blush on the red-eyed woman's cheeks. From the sounds of it, Yugao replied in a relaxed voice. You're just jealous. Guess you still can't get your needs taken care of. The growl from the dog woman was loud, deep, and threatening as she leaned towards the relaxed purple-haired Kunoichi. Mother, behave. Hana, Tsum's daughter and the newest member of this group, spoke as she entered. I doubt she ever will. Kuramaru, Tsum's large one-eyed partner, spoke as he walked in and looked around. I will stay outside with the triplets, he said as he turned to leave. Not going to stay? Sim teased. Too many females, I know better than that. A chuckling Sim mumbled the word chicken as he left. How long before Anko arrives? Hana asked as she took her seat. Why, tell me she hasn't. Yugao started with another teasing grin. She has been here for half an hour, Kurenai replied as a body literally slithered in behind Kurenai, then all the way around her body before coming to rest with Anko basically hanging from Kurenai. Ah, you knew I was there? She teased as she wrapped her legs around Kurenai's waist. Anko slipped one arm under Kurenai's while the other came up over Kurenai's shoulder, completely entrapping her in an embrace. Everyone knew Anko was looking for a reaction, which was why no one reacted. Kurenai just sipped her drink as if nothing was different. Now that everyone had arrived, Kurenai decided to get the meeting started. Although Tsum was older than the rest by almost 10 years, close to 20 regarding her daughter, it somehow came about that Kurenai was the group's leader. She looked around at the strongest collection of kunoichis in the village of the Leaf. In fact, they were the only real kunoichis worthy of the title of ninja, at least active ones. She was disappointed. 15 years she had been a shinobi, hoping to prove women were just as skilled as men, and all the good kunoichis in the whole village fit in this one small room. Stop dwelling, Sim spoke, reading Kurenai's mind. It's hard, I had hoped there would be more of us by now. Your little Hinata should be joining your team soon, yes? Hana smiled. Kurenai just nodded before frowning, but she is the only one. I am not seeing any other girls that look like they take being a kunoichi seriously. Don't worry, things are changing for the better. Yugao smiled and looked at Sim, who smiled back, almost evilly. How so? Anko asked as she rested her chin on Kurenai's shoulder. Chief's back, Yugao and Sim replied at the same time. Anko, Hana, and Kurenai all lifted their heads. You know him? Anko asked, really interested. He was the head instructor for Anbu camp, Yugao replied. Trained me when I wished to become a hunter nin, Sim added. When asked why she called her tracking team Hunter Nin when that name had been taken by the Miss Village, her reply was simple. To piss them wannabe trackers off. After that no one questioned her, and just accepted her team as Konoha's Hunter Nin. I have never met him, Kurenai spoke. What can you tell us? He will beat the stupid out of anyone, Yugao spoke. He will be twice as hard on the girls. Sim smiled and looked at Anko. Why? Kurenai asked, worried about Hinata. He hates weak women and will not tolerate weak kunoichis. The two women replied as one. Fangirls? Anko asked. He asked for you by name, did he not? Yugao replied, smiling at her sadistic friend. Anko smiled back, finally understanding why she was picked. So, any more good news? Kurenai asked. My son is not as stupid as I thought, Sim replied with a grin. Everyone, even Hana, looked at her in shock. Yep. Seems Kiba, Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Shino Aburame along with Naruto Uzumaki have a little undercover group going. Like us you mean? Hana asked with a small grin. Our group is not secret, Sim replied and grinned as she leaned back and looked out the small window of the room. There she saw Hate, Asuma, Kuramaru and the triplets sitting at the bar drinking in silence. It's just that none of the men want to risk trying to interfere, cowards. Here Sim stopped and gave a very evil grin to Kurenai. Seems Naruto was not as blind to your Hinata's affections as she thought. They, all the boys, seem to have put up a facade to fool the village. Oh, and last I heard Hinata was at Naruto's place. She should be fine, Chief vouched for him. Kurenai's first thought was to run to Hinata, but Anko refused to let her stand. Relaxed, Sim trusts Naruto to behave right? Anko asked, looking at the oldest woman. Far better than I would have behaved at her age. Sim replied with a smile. Not helping, mother, Hana replied and looked at Yugao. Chief vouched for the boy, so if he does anything you will get to see the skinning technique for sure, Yugao replied, causing Anko to skiver. After a short time trying to reassure Kurenai that her charge was safe with the boy, the kunoichis continued. You and me, toward to training the girls. Anko laughed evilly as she looked at Yugao, again made sure Kurenai did not stand. And Mai, Sim replied. Oh goody, Yugao gave a strange giggle, something not heard often. Who is Mai? Hana, Kurenai, and Anko asked at the same time. The woman that's holding a blade to your throat, Sim replied and smiled at Anko. For a second Anko was confused, then she felt the point of a kunai at the jugular. Slowly she turned her head to the left. Kurenai and Hana just gaped as they saw a woman smiling sweetly. The woman took the blade away and leaned in to kiss Anko's cheek. She then leaned over to hug Yugao from behind before stepping to Sim. Sim stood up so they could kiss each other's cheeks before both sat back down. Mai was dressed in a simple shirt and pants combo with a simple black leather vest. Her hair was long and black with hints of a blood red, her face looked plain. The only thing that stood out was the large choker around her neck with the yin/yang symbol, and the kanji for balance in the center. Mai waved at Hana and started to make seals, at least that's what the group that didn't know her thought. Then they realized the hand signs weren't seals, it was sign language. Hello, my name is Mai Tokubetsu Jonin, an assassin for Leaf, apprentice of Chief Kuzai. Hey boss, one of Naruto's clone whispered. Naruto's head shot up. He had been so engrossed in the book that he had lost track of time. When he marked his page, he realized he was already halfway through the book. Hinata was still asleep, but now she was curled up on the couch, her head using Naruto's thigh as a pillow. Boss, it is almost 11, me and the others are about to poof. Naruto was shocked at the time. He figured that someone would have come for Hinata by now, he was hoping it was the Jonin Yuhi. True, he did send a message to Hinata's father, but he thought that the woman cared more about Hinata than her father did. He checked his clone memories. Hayashi Hyuga was with Chief, he will have to see about that later. He then realized that the clone he sent to find the woman Hinata lived with had not dispelled yet. It's too late to try and get her home, Naruto stated. Anyone wash her clothes? The clone nodded and pointed to where Hinata's clothes were folded and ready. Well, I guess she will just have to stay here. Let's try to move her without waking her. All your plans have gone up in smoke. You weren't planning a sleepover anytime soon, boss. The clone replied as he and Naruto gently lifted the sleeping girl up and carried her to his bed. I need to be really careful. One wrong move can get Hinata in a lot of trouble, Naruto spoke. Not to mention yourself. The clone replied. I already have a bad reputation. This village wouldn't know what to do if I didn't. Hinata, however, if her reputation takes too big a hit too soon, her family. Naruto left it at that and the clone nodded. Soon the two had Hinata in the bed with a heavy comforter. In her sleep, she somehow found the large stuffed frog Naruto secretly slept with. Naturally the boy blushed, and he and the clone left her to rest. After a quick goodbye the clones puffed, and Naruto was again left to the quiet of his apartment. As he returned to the couch he started thinking about the book he had been reading. What shocked him was that he could remember most of the material. Book learning was never his strong suit, but it seems seals were an exception. Hiruzen was an early riser. He had to be as Hokage of the Leaf Village. He sent the two Chunin night guards home, so they could get some sleep, then walked through the doors to his office. He stopped when he saw someone sitting on his desk reading a file. Well, it is good to see you, Mai. How have you been? The woman looked up and smiled. He always liked that smile. It was so warm and friendly. It always amazed him that she could have that smile despite everything she had been through. Morning, Hokage-sama. Sleep well? About as well as any Hokage can with Chief around. She nodded as she knew that meant not even close to good. He is here to help and fix the mistakes. The Hokage just nodded as he went to sit in his seat. Once he had settled into his chair, she handed him the file she was reading. Going over it thoroughly, his eyes widened, and he looked up at her. Why did no one ever think of that? 'Cause people got lazy, was her reply. Hokage again nodded as he continued to read through the file and made some notes. When he finished, he looked up at her again. She had not moved as she waited. This war, do we know who? Shake of the head. Where? Another shake. When? No, we know only that it is coming. It will be hard to mobilize the village and get them ready. As it is now, we would have to be attacked with heavy losses before the village finally realized. He spoke before she interrupted with another smile. Did you forget Chief is here? He'd take care of that. Yoshino Nara, the mother of Shikamaru, was headed to her son's room to start the chore of trying to wake him up. If she was lucky, she would complete that chore sometime in the next 5 hours. As she opened the door and was about to start her well-established rant, she stopped. The room was empty. She knew Choji had stayed over last night, and she'd expected to find both boys passed out in positions that could only be achieved by two boys trying to stay up far later than they should. But they weren't. They were not in the room. Then she noticed said room had been cleaned. Once her shock ended, she quickly turned and headed for the kitchen, where she found her husband reading some early reports and drinking his tea. The fact that he was up and moving this early had her worrying greatly. Shikaku, our son, as she started to speak when her husband just lifted a finger and pointed at the fridge. On the fridge, a note was pinned. Went out training with Choji. Back by dinner. No need to make us lunch, Shika. Okay, she tried to understand. What is going on? Why, who, how? Chief is back in the village, was all her husband said. Shino Aburain went about his morning like normal. Because of his personal colony and his clan's general colony, his duties and chores often had him up at 6 in the morning. As he finished and put his long coat on, his mother called. Shino, your friends Shikamaru and Choji have arrived. Coming, mother, he replied. He went to the kitchen, where he spotted his father reading a paper. His father briefly lifted his head, and despite his glasses, Shino knew the man was watching him out the corner of his eye. His mother smiled at him. She was a kind, friendly, and open woman that his father had met on a mission out of Fire Country. In a rare act of emotion, one neither Choji nor Shikamaru would ever mention, Shino pulled the collar of his coat down to kiss his mother on the forehead. She was, in fact, shorter than her 12-year-old son, before replacing his coat and nodding to the two boys and following them out. The three boys walked in silence through the early dawn. Shino and Shika were having a silent conversation with each other, silent as in no words used at all, yet they knew what was being said. Choji knew something was up, but had long ago resigned himself to never understanding how his friends' minds worked. As they walked into the Inuzuka compound, they noticed they were watched by several people and many, many dogs. Hana, Kiba's older sister, was in front of one house tending to her triplets. She hesitated slightly, which told Shikamaru and Shino all they needed to know. Morning, boys, she smiled. Morning, senpai, Choji replied politely. Kiba up? Doubtful. It is too early for him, his sister replied. This cannot wait. Can we collect him? Shino spoke calmly. Sure, she replied with a grin, then hesitated. Wait here. Hana quickly went into the house and into the living area. Sim was laying on the floor, almost completely naked, with 2 or 3 empty bottles around her using Kuramaru as a pillow. Really, mother, this does not help us dispel that rumor, Hana thought as she grabbed a blanket and covered her mother. The massive dog just opened his eye. Kiba's pack have arrived and are looking to collect him, she told the Niken. Worried about that rumor? He asked, giving a doggy grin. It is getting out of hand. Even her closest friends are starting to believe it, or at least consider it. We know the truth, that is all that matters, he replied and closed his eye to sleep. Returning to the door, Hana called the boys in. None of them turned a head or batted an eye as they walked to Kiba's room. They had all seen Sum passed out on the floor, her head on the large dog and a thin couch blanket covering her. Several pieces of clothing were spread over the room. This does not help the rumor. Best not say anything, all 3 boys thought at once. Entering Kiba's room, they found it in just as big a mess, the boy out cold and snoring loud. Akamaru woke up as he sensed the boys enter. Shino went to find Kiba's clothes. Shikamaru collected the puppy while Choji grabbed the sleeping boy and lifted him up on his shoulder. Said boy didn't even budge as he slept. Good morning, boys, was their greeting as they walked back into the living room/kitchen. Sitting at the table in a simple bathrobe was Sum, drinking her tea as if nothing was wrong. It seemed hangovers didn't bother her. Greetings, Inuzuka-sama, Shino replied in a greeting to the clan head. She smiled and sipped her tea. You know where the training grounds shower is, yes? Shikamaru and Shino just nodded and Choji shifted to get a better grip on the boy who still did not wake. The woman returned to her tea as a dismissal. The shower was cubical with just enough wall to cover the basics. The Inuzuka were known to be more nature-based than most, so nudity was not taboo here. Putting Kiba's sleeping form in the floor of said shower was easy. Choji just dropped him on his butt. Still, he slept. Shino reached in and turned on the water, cold first. What the hell? Cold knock at OFF, what the hell? Mot Kiba stopped as he finally woke up and found not his mother but his friends. You could have just shaken my foot, he said. Akamaru whined as Kiba finally noticed he was not in the house shower, but way outside at the training ground one. Choji tossed the boy the body wash. Kiba took it and stripped off his pajamas, leaving him in just his shorts. They were standard shinobi utility shorts, designed to dry quickly for quick swims, bathing, just about anything, a standard in shinobi gear. You carried my sleeping but all the way out here? Kiba asked as he washed. When the others nodded. Damn, I really need to sleep lighter. This heavy sleeping will get me someone killed out on a mission. Agreed, Shino replied. Any news? Kiba asked as he finished and started to dry. Mom was pretty drunk when she got home last night. I ran like hell when she challenged the older clansmen to strip poker. Our parents know, Shikamaru replied. Kiba's head shot up as he finished getting his vest on. My father was awake when Choji and I woke and tried to sneak out. He didn't say anything, but he was dressed in his training gear. If Shikamaru's dad knows, my dad knows, Choji added. Your sister gave only a brief look at us when we arrived and had no problem letting us collect you, Shikamaru added. My father outright told me, Shino spoke up. He said he knew about our group and was impressed with how well we played the facade. He was also impressed at our skills. He tell you about this, chief? Shikamaru asked. Only that it would be best not to mess around during his training. Braggarts, layabouts and wannabes will not enjoy the time. Choji nodded and Kiba thought. How bad is it? Shikamaru asked. We're talking about war. The chief made it clear we are headed into a war within the next 5 years, and there is no way to stop it, Shino finished. So, no more slow, fat, and stupid? Choji asked. Or stupid, boastful, and arrogant? Kiba asked. Or lazy and weak, Shikamaru finished. The good news is Chief is running the training camp, which means we can grow and become stronger without having to show the village just how much we played them. Our cover is secure except in the eyes of our fathers and your mother. Shino spoke as the boys slowly made their way back to the entrance of the compound. I am not sure I want my mother to know yet, Kiba spoke and stopped as a chill went down his spine. She is behind me, isn't she? Naturally, Shikamaru replied. Kiba was embraced in a massive hug from his mother from behind. I am so proud of you. You were able to hide your true self, even from me. That is an important skill for a shinobi to have. You boys did well. Thanks, Mamo UCH, he cried as she smacked the top of his head. That's for lying to your mother and making me think you were stupid. Be back for lunch, the woman called out as she turned to return to her house. If the number of bruises she leaves is how you determine how much a mother loves you, then my mother loves me more than any. Kiba whined as he rubbed his head. So, what did they say? Kakashi stopped and looked around. Kuzai was sitting in a tree. Kakashi had just left a secret meeting with the council. They told me who my team would be, Kakashi started. Uchiha, Haruno, and Naruto. But let me guess, train and push the Uchiha, give no training to Naruto, and they couldn't care about the girl? Chief asked. Correct. What are my orders? Chief attacked. He used pure taijutsu, no chakra. Fight me with everything you have, and he did. Kakashi used every trick in his book except his Sharingan eye. The thing was useless against the chief. Within 20 minutes he realized just how over-reliant he had become on the eye and how far his other skills had fallen. You grew lazy with that thing. What did I tell you both about that? Kakashi was panting as he tried to lift himself up off the ground and just nodded. Pass them. Fuck the test. If they pass my camp, pass them. And then train both, the prince and the girl, train them both. The copy ninja's head shot up. Fuck the council, And with that, he vanished. Naruto woke up when his alarm went off at 6. He walked to the bathroom in a sleepy daze. He knew there was something he forgot but couldn't remember no matter how he tried. He walked out of the shower wrapped in nothing but his towel and went to his room for clothes. As he dropped the towel, it came back all at once. He stood there in his birthday suit for an eternity, or maybe just a minute. Both seemed possible. Slowly he turned his head to look at the bed. It was empty. Now he started to panic. Naruto knew just being his friend would put her in danger, so he dressed very quickly and left his room. There was Hinata sitting at his kitchen table eating. As she tried to read something, her blush spoke volumes about him walking around in a towel. Naruto didn't care, he was just glad to see she was okay. He kicked himself for forgetting he had a guest. And morning, Naruto. She spoke with a stutter, trying to get over the situation. Morning, Hinata, what you reading? He replied as he joined her for some food. A letter from someone called Chief. Here is one for you. Chief is the guy I was training with yesterday. He will be leading a training camp for all the graduates tomorrow. What did he write? He wrote about those shadow clones you use. Gave me the math here. She stopped as she heard a thump and something that sounded like a hiss. She found Naruto on top of the fridge, glaring and baring his teeth like a pissed off or scared cat. For a moment she was confused when she noticed his eyes were locked on the paper she held and remember how much he lacked in math class. She could not stop it. She started giggling at his antics, then she openly laughed. A sound not heard in that village in a long time. Hearing her laugh was like music to his ears and calmed him down as he slowly started to climb down from the fridge. One eye on her and one eye watching the evil numbers. That's a good Naruto, come sit, the evil math won't hurt you, it's for me anyway. She chuckled as she coaxed him back to the table like a cat or any other small scared animal. What is the math for? Naruto asked. Just how much chakra I would need to make a clone that could last 5 minutes and a trick to make it last longer without draining me, she replied as she continued reading. Oh, that's cool, well can you? After doing some work on a scrap of paper she smiled. I can make 2, what does your note say? Naruto had forgotten and quickly looked, then his eyes widened. It simply says bring her, he replied, then looked at the clock. Shit, we are going to be late. Naruto grabbed his shoes and made to clones. You two work on that seal's book, don't go out. The knowledge of me using clones will get out, but I want to keep it secret for now. I came up with a prank I want to pull. And with that, he took Hinata's hand and was running out the door. See, Anko spoke as she was half asleep as she clung to Kurenai's back, resting her chin on the woman's shoulder. Perfect gentleman. Kurenai was perched on the roof of the building staring into Naruto's apartment. She had been there all night. He forgot about her and walked past her almost naked. The red-eyed woman replied, looking for a reason to be mad. You're pretty absent-minded that early in the morning, Anko replied. Now take me to bed. Don't care what you do with me after we get there, but take me to bed, yours or mine, I don't care. Anko mumbles and starts snoring. Kurenai just scowled as she turned to take her friend home as she realized how tired she was herself. Hours later, Yugao had walked into Kurenai's apartment to find both women asleep on the couch, a sight that was so common that the Anbu did not bat a lash as she knew more than once that she too had woken up in the same state. Hinata just had to hang on for dear life as he basically took her across the village. Arriving, Naruto noticed he was 1 minute early, but Chief and 3 of his clones were already there waiting. Make your clones, Chief spoke as he waited. Naruto did again, making more clones than the 10 needed. This time it was 15. He turned to Hinata and she made her clones. 2 more Hinatas popped up and quickly all 3 took a pill. Once taken, the 3 Hinatas looked much better as the soldier pill refilled their chakra reserves. Chief looked at the girl and simply asked, Tree and water? She looked up as she thought. I have master tree but not water, she replied, feeling self-conscious. Her clan's elders had told her all children had passed this by now. Good, very good, better than most your class, Chief replied, shocking the girl. You 5, katas take a Hinata. You 5 the tree, you 5 take the other Hinata and work on water. Remember, clones can take the soldier pills without damaging the body, so there is no rush. Hinata and Naruto watched as the clones left with the chiefs before looking back at the man. I am sure you both remember your standard academy stretching. Yes, good, begin. And the chief once again sat to meditate. Naruto did not say much as he and Hinata started to limber up. He did notice that she was very nimble, and as she sat with her legs forward she could bend and reach past her toes, something the fastest ninja in the village could not. Stand, Chief said without moving. He looked at Hinata. I am the teacher and ranking shinobi, yes Hyuga? Yes, Sense Chief, she replied. When I give an order, trust that I do so for a reason. Yes, Chief, she replied as either she nor Naruto understood yet. Take off the coat. Hinata looked down at her baggy coat that she always wore. For a moment she wanted to argue. Chief doesn't give an order for no reason. I may not understand why he does things yet, but I do. He always has a reason, Naruto whispered. Hinata just nodded as she removed her coat. Under she wore a sleeveless training shirt over a white tee, simple and perfect for training. Good, full counts begin. Naruto groaned and started. A full count was a mix of many exercises combined into one. Jumping jacks to squats to leg thrusts, push-ups, and back. Designed to train you up and wear your ass out. About half an hour in, Hinata panting. How many do we? Till Chief is tired, Naruto panted back. Slow down, find the pace for you. What, why? She asked. This hell is not about speed or the total number you can do, Naruto growled. It is about how long you can last, and if you need to vomit just do it, no one will say anything, and if they do I bet he will make them join us. The full counts lasted. Who knew how long, and both kids were getting slower, though either lost their breakfast yet. The ding was a welcome sound as Naruto collapsed, followed by Hinata. Stretch out so you don't cramp, Chief spoke for the first time as he stood. How long? Naruto asked as he worked his hamstring. About 6 hours, Chief smiled. Not bad. I believe the only other kid that can do that around your age is named Lee. I heard of him. He is on my cousin's team, Hinata replied. So I have heard. Get ready, first group dispelling, Chief replied, and soon Naruto got a rush. He was better at walking trees. Now for the water, Naruto smiled as he looked at Hinata. Her rush was not as strong as she only had one clone where Naruto had 5. Woohoo, we did it, Hinata-chan, we can walk on water. Hinata smiled as Naruto did his victory sign, then his grabbed his head as the final team dispelled. Good both of you, Chief spoke as he saw Hinata look at him. Now follow. He started walking at a relaxed pace, taking them deep into the woods. They walked in silence. Naruto, because he knew now was not the time to talk, Hinata because she did not know what to make of the man. He led them to another clearing. In the center was a stone block 30 meters tall and 7 wide. It had a coarse texture, but it was smooth. In fact, there was not a single seam, as if it had been carved from a single piece of stone. Walk, do not run or jump, walk up the side to that halfway line, Chief spoke, pointing to an orange line painted halfway up. Take all the time you need. And with that he started walking slow and steady. Hinata and Naruto both looked at it with hesitation. One slip and it would be a fun landing. Then they both started to walk. Not even halfway to their destination they realized walking was harder. It took more concentration and focus. Naruto was already sweating and swearing under his breath. Though she was not known for using that kind of language, Hinata was agreeing with every curse Naruto said. Both made it to the line sweating and panting, and grateful. Chief took his time walking to the stone, and they realized he did that to give them time to recover. Chief stood there as if this was nothing as he stared sideways out over the treetops. Begin your katas. Take your time. As soon as you complete them 3 full sets you are dismissed, Chief spoke, and then he started doing his personal kata. Naruto started his style that the Chief was having him learn. The sweat started to pour from him. He looked over and saw that Hinata was no better as they both went very slow through each move. Hiruzen was impressed as he watched with his crystal ball. He had been a genin for almost a year before he could begin the training on the stone. It was almost 2 years out of the academy before Minato first went up the stone from hell, as he called it. To see Naruto there on just his second day of training with Chief showed him that the faith that he and Minato placed in the young blonde was justified. The civilian villager may not understand it, but as soon as this information gets out there will not be a single Anbu that will disrespect the boy. The next thing that shocked was the Huga girl. The Hokage knew why Chief was pushing the girl and what interest he had in her was. But to see her on the side of that wall first training day with the Chief, wait till Hayashi learns this. Is that Naruto? And that's Hinata, Hayashi's girl? Kakashi asked. He had slipped in the window behind the Hokage. Are they already on the wall? At the mention of the wall, the Anbu that were always stationed around him actually broke their cover. Chief would chew them out later, and came to crowd around the orb shocked as they watched. Naruto, Hiruzen started. Only need a little motivation. To raise a lot of hell, one of the Anbu whispered in reply. The Hokage looked around at the stunned faces and smiled at the Anbu's slip. Why so shocked? Naruto has been slipping into the tower past all your defenses and stealing my hat since he was 8. I warned you all not to underestimate him. The walk back down was even worse, and when Naruto and Hinata finally reached the bottom they both hit their knees. Naruto even kissed the dirt. Hinata just all but passed out. Take her to the springs. She needs to soak cause her body will be sorer than yours and she runs a risk of harming herself more. Chief spoke calmly as he reached the ground. He had gone from stone wall to ground in one step without breaking stride. I am sure there will be someone to take her into the bath waiting for her. Hiruzen actually blushed as he knew he had been caught watching the training. Naruto's head shot up confused. Most people don't heal or recover like you, Naruto. You have your clan's healing factor, add the fox. The Hokage stiffened. To that and you recover in a fraction of the time of a normal person. You will simply walk or sleep off things that can and have killed older better trained shinobi. I never really? Naruto asked. Most take days or weeks to recover from a broken arm. You were healed after a night's sleep, remember? Chief smiled. How did you know about? Boy, I take my job very seriously. And such I learn all I can about my students. Now take her to the hot springs. And with that Chief vanished. She wasn't fully asleep, but she was almost there as he somehow got her on his back in a piggyback. Then he noticed her heavy coat was hanging on a tree branch. I thought we left that at the other clearing. Oh yeah, Chief. So, he grabbed it and carried her out of training ground 93 and through the village. Some villagers scowled at him but most just ignored him. He did notice some Anbu. He had a knack for spotting them, but was kind of shocked when a couple actually nodded their heads in a respectful manner. He did not know how fast some news traveled. Waiting at the springs was Kurinai. Yugao had told her that Hinata would be coming and would need some help soaking. Anko had come along and was actually standing by her friend, instead of hanging on her back like normal. Closed by the red-eyed woman noticed Inara, Aburame, and Akimichi heirs along with Kiba. Some sun waiting seemed she was not the only one notified. Greeting Jonin Yuhi. Naruto started noticing who was waiting for them. I apologize for last night. I was not expecting Hinata to stay all night, and planned for you to come and collect her when my clone found you. I swear I was very respectful of Hinata. The first words out of his mouth shocked the Yuhi. Don't worry, brat. Enko spoke. Kurenai knows she camped out on a rooftop and watched you all night through your apartment window. And she laughed as Kurenai spun and glared at her friend. Thank you, Mr. Uzumaki. Kurenai spoke after a minute. I will take her from here. I am told she had some strenuous training? Ma'am, Naruto started. If I wasn't 100% sure of him, I would swear he is trying to kill us with how tough our training was today. No one spoke as he slides the now sleeping Hinata, with a smile and a light blush on her face, off his back and into the arms of a concerned woman. Enko, the scary-looking woman in Naruto's mind, just smiled as she followed her friend into the woman's bath. Naruto moved over to where his friends were and led them into the men's bath. Peeper on the wall, Naruto called out as he walked into the men's side and spotted a man trying to force a hole open in the bamboo. Want us to deal with him? The man spun around with a scowl. He was short, skinny, with drunk eyes. Naruto and the boys had heard of the super pervert called Jiraiya, and this was not him. Just then the tail of a massive-sized snake came over the fence, wrapped around the man, and threw him out of the hot springs, followed by a very shrill shriek from the peeper. We got it, thank you. Naruto recognized the crazy lady's voice. Once all the boys were in the water, Naruto gave a massive sigh as his aching body found relief. The boys watched him closely. Really that bad? I have never seen you that wore out, Choji asked as he snacked on a few treats. Be ready tomorrow, Naruto replied. I think this guy will redefine the word workout. Closing his eyes, find anything? No, Shikamaru replied. Your tips about sneaking into the records room really helped, but it was hard. I have no idea how you can get in that tower so easy. Seems I have a skill, Naruto smiled. Yes, Shino replied. But to the point, Chief Kuzai's file was not there. I am thinking an elite shinobi like him, his file will be hidden in the Hokage's personal files, which means breaking into his office, something only you seem to be able to do. Guess it will have to wait till after the camp then, Naruto spoke. No time tonight, as we will all need all the rest we can get. The morning was quiet, calm, and cool. There were no clouds in the sky, but the air held no warmth. It did hold something though, and those with more than 2 brain cells could feel it. Don't open the store, we are closed today, Tucci called out. To say his daughter was shocked was an understatement. She was half a step away from calling the hospital. He could be having a seizure, stroke, or something. If not, he might be an enemy shinobi, and I need to all the Anbu thought as she quickly went to find her father. She found him in his back office, turning the dial and opening a safe he had not touched in years. The look on his face was of serious concentration. Pulling a red leather book, he opened it and read. Good, I have everything, he thought as he closed the book and turned to head out of his office with it, and locked eyes with his worried daughter. Hiruzen could not sleep. Well, that was a lie. He slept dead and solid. He just woke up at 4 in the morning, charged and ready to go. He hadn't felt this in years and was thinking that it was Chief's doing. He got dressed, putting his battle armor on and summoning Enma, who quickly turned into the staff. The Monkey King did not speak much, he too could feel the air. Ash walked into the tower at 5. He was greeted by shocked faces as this was rather early for him still. Hokage-sama, a Chunin spoke as she stood. Is there something going on? Why do you ask? He tested her. Well, you're not here normally this early. There seems to be an energy in the air like a storm is just waiting to break, she started. And Ichiraku's is closed, yet he and his daughter are there, and they seem to be working in a mad rush. The Hokage just smiled. So you too feel it, Tucci? Good. The old man thought with a smile. Good, thank you for the report. I will be in my office. The Hokage simply replied as he went to his office door. At the door he stopped again. This was the second time in 2 days someone was in his office this early, and no one in the tower seemed to know. But this time it was different. Opening the door slowly, he spotted some of the Anbu hidden as they watched. In the office, sitting on his desk, was Naruto. There standing around him and looking at the Hokage was Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba and Shino. Course, he barely saw Shino. It is early, boys, and you have a training camp in a few hours. You should still be sleeping or getting some food. You will need both. The Hokage spoke as he walked around his desk to sit. We are ready, Gigi, Naruto smiled. I thought you said you would not try to get the file till after the camp? Hokage asked with a grin. That is still the plan, Naruto replied. Unless you want to hand it over now, save us the trouble and save your Anbu the embarrassment. There was a stir around the room. Shika just grinned. Naruto had literally just called out the Anbu with that one. No, Hokage replied simply. That is what I thought. Wouldn't be a challenge if you did, Naruto smiled. And would not be as fun. I am here for a second reason. A thought I had last night. The Hokage sat up and listened. I am going to tell them. Naruto pointed at his friends. And Hinata too. I just figured it would be easier to ask permission. The Hokage thought on his words. His law had been as much trouble as it was helpful. So Tsum told him regularly. He knew it would not stay secret forever. And these boys proved to be his friends, even risking sneaking into the Hokage's office with him. Very well. And Naruto told the boys about the fox, and about his mother. Wait, you really are Uzumaki? Choji asked. Yes, why? Naruto replied. It is a long story. Just know the resentment some of my clan gave you as they thought you were just using their name. The Akimichi clan was very close to the old Uzumaki clan. Oh, Naruto replied, not sure how or what to think. We better get going, Shika spoke, checking his watch. So, you guys don't care about the fox? Naruto asked. It seems that is why my allies refused to tag you, Shino commented. Or why you always had a scent of a fox, Kiba added. It explains why you have far too much energy. As troublesome as it is at times, Shika spoke with a sigh. Nope, don't care about the fox, Choji simply stated. I hope Hinata feels the same, Naruto smiled. Let's get moving, we still need food. Sakura had not felt this full in a long time. Her mom had woken her up about 7 and got her ready. The pink-haired girl could sense there was something off but could not guess why her mother was so tense. Then when she came from her room dressed, her mother had forced her to eat breakfast. Sakura, like always, looked for something very light with her diet, but mom refused. The fight was on, and after 10 minutes Sakura found herself eating more food at one meal than she had since her diet started. She noticed it was all healthy foods but with a lot of calories as well. When asked why she had to eat this much and completely destroy her diet, all her mother said was, you will need it. So now at 9:30, she was walking on her way to Training Ground 93, which was further out of the village proper than she had ever gone. Truth is, her, like many, hadn't even heard of Training Ground 93. She spotted Ino up ahead and jogged a little to catch up. Sakura noticed she too looked like she was still working through a full-course meal. Ino, pig, billboard head. They called out to each other but did not have the same fire. This whole day felt foreboding. Walking the rest of the way in silence, and as they reached a trail leading into a densely wooded area, they met 2 jonin. One Sakura recognized as Kurinai Yuhi, the genjutsu mistress of the village. Names? The older woman asked. Ino Yamanaka, Sakura Harino, the girls said together. The jonin just handed a name tag to each girl. The guy that stood beside the woman had a lit cigarette and a beard. Follow the path to the clearing, can't miss it. Neither of the 2 jonin seems impressed with the girls. Truth was, they were not at all impressed. And the 2 girls quickly started walking the path. After what felt like forever, they arrived in a clearing. To one side stood most of their class, including many of their competition, i.e. the girls that were gunning for Sasuke. To the other side was a group. Shino Aburame, Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, Kiba Inuzuka and Hinata Hyuga all sat together with the loser Naruto as they. What, are they really going through the academy stretches? Ino asked, confused. Looks like it. Man, Choji is so fat, Sakura whispered. Hinata had woken early and gotten prepared quickly. She was still blushing a little about when Naruto carried her, as she was so tired from the chief's training. She still had not made up her mind about him yet. He seemed like a perfect instructor, never belittling her and very patient. But she also felt that he was holding something back in regard to her. But she could not figure out what it could be. Hinata joined her guardian Kurinai for a solid filling breakfast. A larger than normal breakfast, but Hinata did not ask somehow. She knew she would need it. Then the 2 went to leave together only to find Naruto and his friend waiting. Naturally, Hinata blushed a deep red but was able to stay awake. Well, I am sure you know everyone, Naruto started. Shino, Shika, Choji, and Kiba, you know Hinata-chan. Hinata-chan, these are the guys, and we are hoping you would like to join our little group of outcasts and misfits. She giggled at the introduction and gave a nod as she reached to rub the belly of the small white dog that had jumped from his master, walked over to her, and simply rolled on his back. That's good, cause with Naruto and Kiba in this group we need all the smart people we can get to make up for it. Choji joked, earning a pained moan from both boys mentioned but smiles all around. Since it seems you have an escort, I will leave you here, Hinata, see you soon. Kurinai spoke as she vanished in a swirl of leaves. The 6 kids quickly started to walk. They knew they would be early, but both Naruto and Hinata were sure it would be best. Arriving at the entrance to the training ground, they met Kurinai and a man with a beard and a lit cigarette. We will be assisting in the camp. Take your badge and head in, Chief said to head to the lake clearing. The man spoke as Hinata and Naruto both nodded and led the way. They were early and the first ones there. The clearing next to a massive lake felt eerie. I feel as if we are being watched, Shino spoke as he looked around. I feel that the test has started already. Choji also looked around. We should go through this as if the training started the moment we took our name tags. We should be ready for an attack from now on, Shika spoke after a moment of thought. Kiba tensed as he watched the empty woods and lake. How should we proceed? We should stretch and get ready, Hinata offered. Chief likes to start with heavy workouts. Yeah, my guess is he plans to run us to the ground today. Did anyone else besides me notice that the mandatory part was written only for today? No, Kiba replied. Shikamaru pointed it out, Choji admitted. Yes, both Shika and Shino said together. And Hinata just nodded. So stretching? Kiba asked as he put his partner down. Any form of stretching we can think of, Shika nodded. Not just the basics. And so, the group started going through all their stretches, including some from Choji's family, and Kiba walked and helped them work through the stretches his family used that helped them walk and run on all fours. People started to arrive, including some adults. The adults looked at the 6 and looked somewhat impressed. The other kids from their class simply stared, some laughing at them, others waving them off as if they were bugs. Hinata was starting to get shy again when Naruto, "Hey, it is just us here, the rest doesn't matter, you and I know what the chief will do, our friends are trusting us about them." Then the boy smiled. Do you really think he will tolerate them and their actions? Hinata shook her head then smiled as she went back to her stretching. When the kitty pink and bleach blonde arrived, the group was sitting. Choji had his legs in front of him and was reaching for his toes, but due to his family girth did have trouble. Naruto just smiled and sat before one of the large boy's feet and reached to grab the boy's wrist. Kiba followed suit with his other hand and they slowly and safely helped the boy stretch. No words used, no jokes made, this was not the time for them. And when Sakura's words reached them, Naruto just stared the upset boy down and somehow calmed him. The sticks are going to learn. You may not be the fastest or the agilest, but no one can go pound for pound with you in our class in terms of power. We promise to help you gain some more speed and flexibility, and I never go back on my word. The blonde moron spoke and somehow Choji just smiled. Standing up, the group could feel they were ready. Almost ready, Naruto whispered in correction. You can never be ready for the chief, he will change it up just to mess with you. At last the last member of the class arrived, the prick as Naruto called him. There was a time when beating the boy and being respected by him meant everything to Naruto, and that only ended 2 days ago. Schoolyard games, stay on the schoolyard. Naruto had thought about those words a lot, and then he thought about all the time he spent wanting to beat Sasuke. Time wasted is what Naruto came up with. He still wanted to beat him, but not for respect or anything. The prick was still a prick, but Naruto was not going to lose any more sleep over it. He had more important people to worry about. A ding was heard as it turned 10 that morning. A gust of wind blew, and next thing anyone knew, there were the chief, black glasses and dark leather coat, standing before 3 other people. The crazy woman from last night, a woman with a kind face with long purple hair, and an Anbu wearing a dog mask. Behind them stood the Jonin-s Kurenai, the man with the beard, a sickly-looking one, and a guy with a saban in his mouth. The group of kids slowly moved forward as they waited. Sasuke stayed in the back and thought this was a waste of his training time. Naruto and crew did not move forward, just watched and waited. The minutes ticked by as they waited. Chief did not move as he stood there, arms crossed as if he was waiting on something. The green blurs came from the trees. A man in ugly green spandex with large eyebrows and an ugly bowl cut stood with another kid that was dressed just like him, an eyesore that Naruto had not thought possible. Behind them stood 2 more, a girl in a cheapao and dark pants with her hair set in 2 buns. The guy beside her wore a beige shirt and short pants. His long hair was pulled back and he looked both bored and interested at the same time. That is Team 9, Hinata started to whisper. That's Guy Mato, a taijutsu specialist. The kid dressed like him is Rock Lee. The girl is Tenten. She is known to be able to hit her target regardless of what she throws over great distances. The other boy is Niji, my cousin. At this, Naruto growled. I don't know why they are here, they have been a genin team for a year now. Hinata finished, not hearing Naruto nor noticing how Choji had to grab the blonde. Guy, why are you here? Chief spoke. Could not pass up a chance for my students to train with the great Chief Kuzai. He looked like he wanted to say more, to scream his reply, but Chief's look seemed to stop them. Did they volunteer? The rest were ordered here by the Hokage. But your kids, if they don't volunteer, I won't let them join. Yes, Chief, I made it clear it was their choice if they came. Good. Even with everyone else complaining, those 3 are not allowed to say a word about the hell they are about to endure. Chief spoke calmly as he pointed to the other teachers. Ladies, meet Anko. She tells you to do something, do it. Only I can stop her, and she already knows what I won't allow. The smile that slowly stretched across the woman's face could only be called evil. All the girls shuddered, even Tenten. Hinata knew a friend of Kurenai she may be while in control that would not save her. With her is Yugao. Maybe she will show mercy. Chief continued the introduction. Yugao just looked at the girls with pure contempt. Boys, this is Dog. You won't find many better in the village, Chief finished. Kiba whispered to his crew. Mom told me about him. She said he is the best Anbu ever had. Chief seemed to pick the best and meanest for his assistants. Now run. Chief pointed to a path that went along the lake. Sasuke and the Lee boy started on a fast hard sprint, but Guy pulled Lee back. Some of the other boys followed the Uchiha. Move it, bitches, Anko called out as she produced a large bamboo cane and smacked Ino on the back of the thigh. Yugao just produced her own bamboo and cracked it over another girl, causing them to scream and start running. We stay in a group. Choji sets the pace, Naruto ordered, quickly getting everyone moving. Choji, Chief cares more about endurance than speed. Set the pace to something you can do for hours, but remember, do not go light. The big one just nodded as he set a hard but sustainable pace, falling in line nearer the back. The sound of the bamboo canes meeting flesh and the screams of the girls filling the air. Dog, it seems, had also produced his own rod and started striking any boy that would start to slow. The other Jonin-s had simply vanished. We will do the same, Guy spoke. Tintin, you set our pace, eyes open. Naruto heard as he gave a quick peek back. At the older kids fell into line at the back. The blonde noticed the hate in Neji's eyes as he stared at Hinata's back, causing the blonde to quietly shift the group so Hinata was in the middle, surrounded by the other 5. Not 10 minutes into the mark, a scream was heard as the Jonin with the Senbon and the sickly-looking one attack a few students with canes. You were right, Shika, Naruto spoke as now the group was watching for the next attack. I just used the information you gave me. Chief combines training, the most amount in as little time as possible. Now we run while having to observe our surroundings, he replied. Do we fight back? Kiba asked. We shall find out now, Shino answered as the smoker attacked from a bush with a cane. Choji used a multi-sized jutsu of his family to enlarge and strengthen his forearm to take and block the strike, and Naruto came around to throw a punch. Crack! The bamboo smacked his head and Anko came from the shadows. You can block, dodge and evade, but you cannot attack, keep running brats. And again she caned Naruto. They never stopped or slowed their pace, so the Jonin moved away. The group just kept the pace as Kiba put the dog down, having him run as well. It was endless, the attacks, the screams, the crying, and the run itself had all their muscles screaming for a rest. They passed several kids that were barely jogging that had uncontrollable tears and welts, many bleeding. They came across Ino and Sakura holding each other up and barely jogging. Anko was following them at a walk, waiting. Seems if you put effort into it, then no matter how slow you went, you did not get struck. The welts and bruises on the two girls made it clear they were Anko's favorites. Naruto saw him. They had caught up with Sasuke as they finished doing the single lap around the massive lake. He was bleeding and limping but still looking at everyone with a scowl. As he and a few of the faster boys, all beaten and bloody, started to slow, Naruto urged his friend to keep going and start the second lap. Did I say you could stop? Chief asked as he struck everyone. One of the boys that stopped hard with his own cane. 3 times they went around the lake. Everyone had a bruise or two, everyone except Hinata. Naruto had taken many hits that were aimed at her. Stop, rest, 10 minutes, Chief called, and the kids dropped. Well, all but Naruto and Lee, but even they were winded. Ah, the little princess is untouched, Anko cried as she charged at Hinata again. He was done. Naruto growled and caught the cane in his hand. Wrenching it from Anko, he swung it and cracked the crazy lady on her head. Damn it, you little, she cried as he grabbed her head and pulled a kunai. I said rest, Chief spoke as he walked up behind Anko. The woman just growled and walked away, catching the cane as Naruto just stared at her while he threw it back. Chief 2 left and Naruto just took a deep breath. How far, Shika? About 3 miles for 1 lap. Time? Less than 2 hours. Choji's pace was about 5 miles per hour, give or take, Shino answered. I could have gone harder, Choji replied with a heavy breath. No, we did good, Hinata spoke up for the first time. We kept a solid pace the whole time and are ready for the next round. Naruto looked around. Half the kids were laying down, many crying and asking to go home. Many were not ready for this, Hinata spoke. Most had no idea what to expect, and they called me the dead last, Naruto replied as he took some water. I am starting to think our village is full of nothing but fools, Shika spoke. How troublesome can they get? He asked with a weak grin. Anko was off out of sight as she put a small bandage over the cut on her forehead. Anko? Kurenai asked with a dangerous tone. Don't look at me with those mommy eyes, she whined back. Explain please. The red-eyed woman asked. Hinata did good. Her and that Tenten are the only ones that impress me, the rest are lazy stupid brats. Insults to Kunoichis. And you tried to harm her, why? Yugao asked, concerned for her friend. She hasn't taken a hit yet, Anko replied as she looked at her 2 girlfriends. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you can't take a hit, you risk your life and the lives of everyone else. True, Kurenai replied. But I thought I made it clear. Her family has made sure she could take a hit. And Kurenai hissed the word family. So you weren't exaggerating. Her family really does treat her like that? Yugao asked as she batted Anko's hands away and helped put the bandage on straight. Watch the Niji boy, watch his eyes. The 3 women turned to look out at the kids and Anko, and Yugao spotted the boy. He was shooting hate at the girl with his eyes. Sorry Kurenai, Anko spoke. I do like that girl, good spirit, and drive, just wanted to make sure she won't fold up when things got nasty. As the break ended, a few were still on the ground as Chief performed a strange handset of hand signs and large purple circles appeared on the ground. Everyone to a circle, he barked, and most moved, those that didn't were motivated to do so, by a pist of Anko and her now bloody cane. Full counts begin. The moans were followed by the sound of the canes cracking and the screams of pain. Naruto was ready for this and made sure the others were too. Kiba put Akamaru on his head as he started the counts. Shino looked at him strangely. My mom would always have me to this. It's to help my balance while doing full counts without letting Akamaru fall. Good idea, Shino replied, nodding. We should come up with something as well. That's for later. Choji started to puff. The Jonin walked between the rows watching the kids. Anko could be heard screaming at random people. Naruto watched, and he saw that she took particular pleasure in punishing the girls. Thank you, Naruto, Hinata whispered. But you do not have to protect me so. Hinata stuttered as she could not find the words as she started to tire. You're welcome, Hinata, Naruto replied. I know you're not a weak flower and I know I will not be able to save you from every attack, but I am not just going to sit back anymore and let people hurt you just because. Your family has done that far too much in my eyes, no more. How many do we have to do? A boy a few rows down asked as he stood and stopped. Till I am tired, Chief replied, dog. The crack of the cane filled the air as the boy was motivated to continue. Then came a sound both Naruto and Hinata learned to love. Ding. That's enough. Stop for an hour lunch, Chief called out. The boys stood up slowly. Kiba and Naruto had to help Choji. Then they looked behind them. Somehow someone set up a few tables that now were covered in food. Behind the table stood Tochi and Ayam. As the kids slowly moved to the food line filling up their plats, any diet the girls might have had was destroyed as they ate with ravenous hunger. Naruto and crew reached the start of the line. Hey old man, what are you doing here? Naruto asked as he took his food. I felt this was the place for me today. The older man replied. You seem to have done this before, Shino spoke calmly. During the war, I worked the mess line, Between the villagers, shinobi refugees and everything in between, I basically fed the whole land of fire at one point or another. This is good, Choji called as he ate while they stood. It did not used to be that way, the old man replied. At first the goal was to feed them the right food to keep their energy up, and the taste did not matter. Then one of my best customers gave me a recipe book that showed me how to put taste and healthy together. And we are grateful, Kiba replied as he and the dog ate. Yes, Kushina was an amazing cook, Ayam spoke. The boy's eyes all snapped to the old man, and he knew they knew who Naruto's mother was. Hinata did not seem to notice the name yet, so did not react. Tsuchi leaned closer and whispered to Naruto, "You're doing good." Both of them would be proud. Niji sat and watched the kids eating. He had not been impressed at all. No, that is not true, he had been impressed with the graduating class's so-called losers. Even his cousin, who he couldn't stand with her gentle nature and kind smile, was performing very well. The Uchiha had also performed okay for Neji's option, but the six that seemed to keep a tight group, they were solid. And he noticed how the blonde dead last one fated to fail always had his eyes on him, and always made sure he was between Niji and Hinata. This training camp was far more than he ever thought possible, and this chief was just as harsh as his uncle had warned. Night before, Niji was in the dojo he used at the Hyuga compound, alone as usual since most avoided him. The leader of the main house and clan head, who was his uncle as well, walked in. "Hayashi-sama," Niji spoke as he stopped his training and kneeled to the man. "Stand, Niji," the man spoke. Obeying, Niji stood and waited. "Your Jonin-sensei spoke to me saying he wished to join the new graduates training camp." "Yes, sir, he spoke to me as well, said I could join if I wanted to, but made it clear it was my choice," Niji replied. "I declined. As Guy said, it is your choice and no one can force you, not even me." Hayashi spoke calmly and noticed how Niji narrowed his eyes at that statement. "But I suggest you go. You will learn more than you ever thought." Niji waited as he thought. This was something he had not seen in his uncle before. "May I think about it?" "Yes, I want this to be your choice and yours only. If the chief even thinks that I might have pushed or forced you to go, he will remove my eyes at the least," Hayashi replied, his words full of conviction. That startled Niji. Never had the clan head ever admitted he was worried about a single person. Chief is dangerous. He is also far older than he looks. The truth is, no one knows how old he is. He is very skilled and has killed more people than most. Beyond aim is probably the closest to body counts. When not training our elite forces, he is an assassin, one of our most effective. To be an elite Jonin or Anbu means you have survived him. Hayashi spoke, reading Nei's face. The boy stared at him. The training looked more interesting by the minute. "If you go, and it will be your choice, know this," Hayashi continued. "Don't use your Byakugan." That stopped Niji cold. "What?" he asked, forgetting all honorifics. "Do not use your Byakugan, it will be of no use to you with him." Here Hayashi did something Niji had never seen. He sighed and took a seat, motioning the boy to sit with him with the clan head not at his feet. Chief Kuzai developed a skill that blocks all genjutsu and affects all dojutsus. Well, it works on ours and the Uchiha's. Not sure if it works on the others, as I do not know if it was ever tested, but I have no doubt that it does. Some claim that the effects on the Byakugan were a side effect of the techniques, but I know for fact, he made it for the Byakugan. He did it just to piss off the Hyuga clan. Niji remained quiet. This was something he had never heard of. Never had he thought it was possible to beat the all-seeing eye his clan was famous for. Why? Why would he do that just to piss us off? Your words, Aji-sama. He has a powerful and complete hatred of our clan. Even I do not know where it started. I do know the number of Hyugas he has any respect for can be counted on one hand with fingers left over, and I am not on that list. Niji sat and ate as he looked to the chief as he now walked with a new woman who seemed kind and caring as she went around, hands glowing blue as she healed many of the beaten kids. He had let Tenten with her limited skill to treat his. To test it, he activated his Byakugan. Chief vanished, and the girl became a very hazy blur. Seems he did teach someone his skill. Niji, once his eyes were back to normal, admitted that this training had turned out more important than he had ever thought possible. Sasuke was sore, he was tired, he knew he was being pushed hard, the run, the attacks. Then the rapid move into the physical training, then he realized it. This was how Itachi described Anbu training. He was being trained the same way Itachi was, and he knew he was not doing as well as he thought he could. He was not ready, never thought for a second this would happen here today, and what was worse was the dead last. Naruto had come prepared. Sasuke had sneered when he saw him and the others getting ready. The Uchiha cursed himself as his muscles cramped as he ran. Well, the Uchiha heir would not be caught flat-footed again for whatever was next. And Sasuke finished his meal and started to go through warm-up stretches. A few other boys saw this and did as well. But Sasuke could not clear his mind as he still thought about the blonde in orange. He had not spoken or, in fact, acknowledged Sasuke once. No boosts about who is better, who would win. Nothing. He had never cared about anyone's option, but now he had never been ignored before. He did not know what to think. Sakura and Ino sat together. Both were worn out already. Though the food and rest helped a little, both were still tired. If you didn't count Hinata or the girl with the buns, both clearly doing better than any other girl, the pinkette and the bleached blonde were the only ones able to actually sit up. It had only been 3 hours and already the other girls were beat. If Sakura remembered correctly, this camp lasted until 10 that night. 6 more hours of who knew what. "How are my little toys doing?" Some evil voice interrupted Sakura's thoughts. Anko had slid up between them, an arm draped over them casually. A shiver went through their spines as fear gripped them. She pulled them both closer to her and started to whisper, "Tell you girls a secret. The reason I am so hateful to you both is you have wasted yourselves." Both were shocked. Neither knew what to think. The rest of the girls, she motioned to the group in front of them, are trash, plain and simple, but you two and Hinata had great potential. And only Hinata-chan is proving her worth. Little 10 there from the previous year is also useful. But those are the only two. Here Anko seemed to get angrier. You Ino are a Yamanaka. I have worked with your father for years. A shinobi I respect. Your mother was a skilled chunin in her time before she dedicated her life to you. A waste if you asked me. You had the right breeding and come from a respected clan, and you wasted it. Anko did not wait for a reply. She switched to Sakura. You, Pinky, have some of the highest grades in the academy. You have a great brain and are highly intelligent. You also have some of the best chakra control ever seen. In your class, you are second only to Hinata, and she has been training in control longer than you. Your mother and father are not an old ninja clan, but they both became shinobi. They too gave up their careers for you, and you like Ino wasted it. You're going to find yourself some fat, smelly, greasy guy's personal toys, or maybe you will be taken by a woman that enjoys the squeals of fooling girls begging her to stop. Anko stopped and just ran her fingers through both girls' hair. Then moved away and her evil, playful voice vanished, and Anko looked like a very serious shinobi. Both are possible if you two don't get your heads out of your asses and take your training and your careers as shinobi seriously. And the crazy woman just slipped away, leaving the two girls thinking. Lee was in heaven, the hard training, the improving of oneself at every step. He loved it. He finished his meal, which was good, not curry of life, but good, and so he felt he needed to get back to training. So, he got down to start push-ups but stopped as he felt the tip of a cane on his neck holding him down. I said rest for 1 hour, Chief spoke. Not 45 minutes, sit. Lee quickly sat in a cross-legged position and looked up at the man. There will be times you're on a mission and you can't move, not even a muscle. You will have to stay in one spot and any twitch will cost you, either your life or the life of your teammates. Everyone stopped and listened to the man. Naruto smiled as Chief was doing his teaching without anyone realizing a thing. I have always respected Guy, his passion, dedication, pure raw emotion, his flames of youth as he calls it. It has pushed him further than anyone could think possible. It will push you there as well. But a shinobi needs to be able to be fast, silent, and deadly. That comes with patience and time. Meditate, become one with the area you are in. Know where everyone is and what they are doing while your eyes are closed. Chief walked away, leaving the green-clad student closing his eyes. Naruto and crew were finished eating and sat waiting. His eyes drifted to Tucci and the millions of questions he had about his parents. Who is that? Shino asked calmly, and Naruto looked. Walking through the kids without making a sound, a woman just smiled and healed the kids. She had simple look, much like Chief, as in you would not notice her in a crowd. The only things to stand out were her hair, black long with a hint of blood red, and a choker around her neck with a yin-yang symbol and a kanji he could not see yet. No idea, must be new, Naruto replied. I think that's Chief's apprentice Mai. Kurenai told me a little about her, Hinata replied. If it is, she can only speak with sign language. She seems nice, Choji watched. Looks can be deceiving. As a shinobi they usually are, Shika added as he watched as well. Time is up, Chief called. You have 5 minutes, then everyone will be in the lake swimming across it and back. I trust everyone has the standard swimming attire with them, as is required for all shinobi. Naruto watched and most gave a tiny nod, but a few looked worried. Chief led them on a trail that led to a large beach. Swim in whatever you are comfortable in, but leave all other equipment here on the shore. Any questions or complaints? Chief asked. Almost no one replied, all but one green-clad genin. Lee stepped forward. Chief, he spoke up. I cannot swim. Guy looked at his student almost heartbroken as he realized he did not know that. He failed his student. One of the boys started to snicker. Crack. The cane from dog broke the silence. No one insults their fellow shinobi around me, Chief spoke, never taking his eyes off Lee. Boy, are you prepared to learn how to swim right now? YOSH, Lee shouted. Leave the weights and prepare, Chief ordered, and for a moment Lee was about to argue with the Chief but stopped as Guy coughed. Jonin, Guy of Team 9, Chief spoke, taking his eyes off Lee. For failure to see to your students training 10,000 push-ups on your pinkies. Yes, Chief, Guy shouted as he got on his pinkies and started. A sight that scared most. Move it, trash! Anko shouted as she started to motivate the girls into the lake. Naruto and crew had slipped in the water. Shino and Choji were wearing a standard thin, full bodysuit. Shino to protect his allies, and Choji, well, he was still a little self-conscious. Shika, Kiba, and Naruto just wore trunks. Hinata fought like hell and beat the blush. Hinata wore a basic one-piece that showed more of her forming curves than she had let anyone see outside of the bathhouse. No one said nothing. Naruto may have smiled in his head at how cute she looked, but no one said nothing. That was brave, admitting he could not swim. Kiba started as the swam, Akamaru paddling with them. We take for granted simply cause our families began teaching us young, Choji replied as he proved to be an excellent swimmer. Bested in the water only by Hinata. Hinata did not swim, she flowed with it. It was almost artistic and angelic to watch her. Naruto almost drowned twice. Well, I had to learn almost on my own, Naruto spoke, waking his mind back up. Almost? Shika asked. I always had an Anbu watching me, normally the same one. Which one? Choji asked. Naruto just smiled and pointed his thumb up behind them. Walking on the water behind the group was Dog. It shocked the group as none of them had realized he was walking there. This was not a random sight as all the instructors walked or jogged atop the water as the kids swam. Yep, when I realized I was being watched I made it a game to always try and find him. It is how I learned to detect Anbu. Now I can find almost all of them at any time. Dog turned his head to the side staring at the blonde. Do you know Dog? Naruto asked as he turned to a backstroke and slapped his stomach. Dog nodded. Good Hinata, there is something I need to tell you. I learned why I am hated. Naruto started talking and she too went to a backstroke to listen. The truth is that you housed the nine-tailed fox, Hinata finished. Everyone stopped, even Dog. How? Naruto asked and Shika and Shino were very interested. Kiba and Choji took a defensive position making sure no one was close to hearing. You have had the largest chakra reservoir I have ever seen and parts of it is red and I have only ever heard of demon chakra being red before. I heard some elders talking about the demon brat, and what he housed since birth. You were the only baby born around the time of the attack. I guessed it a few years ago. She finished and started to blush at the stares from all the boys. Years? Shino asked and Hinata nodded. We did not even think about the possibilities till Naruto told us this morning, Shika spoke. They had stopped swimming and Dog smacked the water to get them moving again. Dog just looked at the boy and did not speak. Naruto looked back over the lake where they started and watched where Chief was with Lee. Lee was waist deep in the water waiting in his lime green shorts. Chief will have to deal with that too. Chief himself just stood on top of the water using his bamboo cane as a cane. Lay on your back, use arms and legs to tread water. Slowly, this is not a race. Before you try to increase your speed, learn the movements first. Lee nodded as he obeyed. Soon he was floating while using his arms and legs to push himself. It was not easy, it was different, and he had to learn how each limb moved in the water. Can we help you? Chief spoke and Lee to see Naruto and his group swimming back to them. We came to join, can't leave a fellow leave shinobi behind. Naruto smiled as he and the rest took the same position and backstroked with Lee. Never stop moving, Lee, Chief spoke. Movement is the main thing that keeps you afloat. The kids just swam asking Lee questions and basically just got to know each other. 90 meters, Chief spoke. Congratulations, Lee, you can now swim. Now place your left arm on your chest, roll on your right side and just use your right arm and legs. With this everyone obeyed. It was a lot harder for everyone. Then Chief had them switch to the other arm. Now you can carry a comrade, rescue a villager from a flood. Move supplies. In time you will learn to do it without splashing. Chief, if we all learn to walk on water, Choji started to ask. There are missions where you need to get across water without being seen, and a person walking on water is very noticeable, Chief replied calmly as he just walked with them. The kids thought about that and just nodded. Okay, Akamaru, your turn, Chief called the dog who paddled up. Lee, roll on your belly, just use your hands and feet to tread water. He obeyed and watched everyone, even the dog. It is called doggy paddling, it's a basic style all learn. Never let anyone insult you about it, it can save your life. Chief spoke as the kids swam. The lake was massive, it took almost an hour for most of the group to make it across. Lee, though did not know how to swim at first, learned fast, and the group was catching some of the main group. Both Sasuke and Niji had swum as hard and as fast as they could, Sasuke to be first and Niji without Guy holding him back because he would not let an Uchiha be first again. They reached the far bank, and back, Chief spoke. Alright Lee, now all you do is stretch your arms or further. Hinata started as she took a lead to show him what to do after the doggy paddle. And I think we should try with as little splash as possible. Naruto smiled. Hinata was quickly coming out of that damn shell. He knew Kurenai-sensei was helping her, and would be a great help to his friend/crush. But Naruto was going to help as well. Cracked Chief's cane met Naruto's skull as the rest of the group had pulled away. The swim was just that, a swim, no hidden attacks, though Anko did have to motivate a few girls that were wearing swimsuits that were more show than use and had tried to get the Uchiha's attention. The welts on the ass cheeks left something to be desired. You're stupid kids, none of you are old enough to have anything to show off, she screamed. Anko herself was not in a good mood. She actually had to save two girls and a boy. The one that laughed at Lee from drowning, Huga, was standing with her hand on her shoulder holding the crazy snake charmer still, and Mai tended to the three kids. As soon as Mai stood and nodded, Huga let go. Anko growled, reared back and hit all three across their asses at one time. The crack and the screams sent chills through everyone's spines, even Yugao's. Dry dress. 5 minutes, returned to circles, Chief shouted as he just walked on shore. Naruto and crew with him. Jiah-sensei, Lee started but then heard the hiss from Hinata about silent. Guy-sensei, Lee corrected and went to his mentor who was still doing the push-ups. We must add swimming to our training. Yes, Lee, Guy spoke as he finished and got to his knees and bowed. Forgive me for failing you. Tenten shivered as she watched it was about to happen again. 2 minutes, Chief shouted. Respecting Guy and his passion did not mean Chief ever wanted to deal with that. Not even his jutsu could break that genjutsu. As everyone moved to the area with their circles, they passed and stopped to stare at bodies. Body backs were places along both sides of the trail. Many bodies looked fresh, throats slit, guts spilling out, all died painfully. These kids are a dead body. All these shinobi failed, Chief spoke as he walked past. They failed their training, they failed their duty. This will happen to you if you fail. This will happen to your friends if you fail. To the circles. The group moved quick but quiet. The sight of dead bodies just hit them to a new core. Not even Naruto nor his crew were ready for that. It wasn't just the dead bodies, it was how they died. Deep down, Naruto had always known that a shinobi's death was never as grand or heroic as the story books wrote, but knowing it and seeing it was two different things. Returning to their circles, the group stood and waited. Kata, pick which one you prefer, whether it is the standard or a family form. I will even accept you using one you made up. Begin, Chief ordered, and most people started the standard form. Anko's cane would correct a mistake. The crack was heard regularly from the girls' side of the group. Sasuke started his family style. Chief walked by him as he was finishing a set and just moved a hand and foot over just a bit and continued on. Naruto was working on the form that Chief had shown him. Every time he overextended, a fist crack on the knuckles or a foot crack on the shin. And like before, Chief just hit Naruto harder and harder and harder each time. Choji went different. His style was more sumo or judo, a lot of open hand thrusts and stomping his feet to the ground. When Chief corrected him, he just moved a hand or showed him where his foot needed to be. As he walked by Hinata, she could feel his eyes watching as she moved. She knew she was missing her marks, but he did not try to correct her, he just walked past. What disturbed her was he did not scuff or shake his head, he just walked by. She did not know how to handle that. Stop, Chief called. Some collapsed from exhaustion, some just held their knees, breathing hard. Time? Naruto asked. 8:30, Shino replied, and everyone looked at him. Started swimming at 2, and swam for 3 hours, now katas for roughly 3.5 hours, give or take. Boys with me, Chief called. Girls follow Anko. Anko, I trust you can deal with the girls without my help? The woman just smiled evilly and held up her cane. Now the girls were scared, though she had been evil with them. Chief did, in fact, stop the woman more than once, and now that he was not going to be there, they feared for their lives. Hinata walked with Tenten as they watched the group of girls. They noticed Sakura and Ino also walking off to the side together. Hinata made short conversation with the older girl as they were led deeper into the wood. As they reached a clearing, they found the ground covered with pillows. Asses, find a seat, Anko called as the girls went to find a seat. As everyone sat, they looked at the older shinobi. Anko glared at them all as Yugao looked indifferent. Mai was sitting up in a tree, swinging her legs back and forth with an pleasant smile on her face. Kurenai stepped forward. For years the argument has been made. Many think women cannot be as good a shinobi as males. That argument will probably never end, but there is one field that women are not just as good, we are the best at. Bodywork missions, lipstick missions, a mission that requires sex and seduction to complete. That got the girl listening. No one spoke, no one removed their eyes from the woman. The idea that a girl should remain pure or should only be intimate with the one they marry is a civilian idea, and only civilians can think that way. You are kunoichis, you are shinobi, every inch of your being is a tool, and you should know how to use it to complete the mission. We are not bound by civilian etiquette, for it has no place in a shinobi world. There was a warlord many years ago, cruel, corrupt, evil. Many shinobi died trying to kill this man. In the end, all the ninja clans claimed he was unkillable simply because he could not be reached in his fortress. A girl that had been harmed by this warlord's men seduced and enticed the warlord from afar, tricked him into taking her to a private room where she pushed a hidden blade up into his brain, quick, quiet, and effective. She left the room later with a smile and a sway in her hip, and none of the warlord's men knew he was dead for hours after she had made it out. That was the assassination that changed the rules. Before, women were only good for tending home and producing and raising children. Then we killed the unkillable. I want all kunoichis to be their best. I believe that women are just as good as men in all fields. But make no mistake, bodywork missions are our field, though men do take them as well. Men have had to seduce women, men have had to seduce men in order to complete a mission. But bodywork missions are our specialty. She stopped and watched each face. Most looked scared or blushing deep red. Some looked at themselves with a self-conscious look. The training for bodywork missions is long. No kunoichi from the Leaf Village will be sent before the age of 18, and only after they train for close to 3 years before. Not all girls can do bodywork, and no one can be ordered to do it. You must volunteer. Lust, desire, and perversion of power, these are traits we find in most humans, so we learn to use them to our advantage. Do not worry about a reputation in the village. Any act performed during a mission cannot be used against you. A husband cannot punish their wife, and a wife cannot punish a husband. If someone speaks negative about you, they have their tongue removed. The Hokage has no tolerance for anyone that disrespects one of his kunoichi for doing whatever it takes to finish the mission and get home alive. The woman looked around one more time, then stepped back. Mai jumped from the tree with a smile, then nodded her head to Yugao. You sure you want to do this part? She asked the woman. Who knows better? Translate for me. I am Mai. I am 30 years old. 17 years ago I was a young innocent naive genin of just 13, doing my first C-rank mission outside of the village walls. Our jonin was away, so it was just us 3. We were ambushed, my teammates died. I was captured and taken to a cave. There were 9 of them, 5 males, 4 females. I was raped for 2 days non-stop. Every degrading thing that could be done to a female's body was. After those 2 days, one of the men complained about the sounds of my crying and screaming, and wanted to remove my tongue. The leader, one of the women, said she had uses for my tongue. Mai stopped and reached to remove her choker. Under it on my throat were several jagged nasty scars. They ripped out my vocal cords instead. 2 years I was in that cave. In my time 108 others were brought. They're mostly Kunoichis, but some civilians and a few boys. But mostly girls none older than 15. 108 and I was the only one to leave that cave alive. I was broken, I forgot my name, that I was a shinobi. All I knew or cared about was serving who I thought of as gods and goddesses. I knew and cared about nothing else. This happened because I was lazy in my training, I laxed in my training of my body and was easily beaten. I did not train my mind, so I was broken just as easy. I did not train my spirit, so I did not care about myself. I only got out cause another shinobi found the cave and rescued me, and stayed with me for 5 years as I slowly healed mind, body and soul. Times I ran away and tried to sell myself as a slave again. It was the only thing I knew. He always found me and brought me back. But in time I healed and recovered. Memories, feelings, everything. 10 years ago I regained my spiritual strength. I could look at myself and be happy. I cared about myself for the first time in 7 years. Since then I have traveled with that man that saved me, and he has trained me and cared for me. He saved me from hell. Here I looked at the girls and her face grew very dark, very evil. So, if any of you stupid cheap trashing cunts ever insult the chief again, I will slice off your ears, remove your nose and rip out your tongues, then I will stick you in a room of mirrors and force you to look at yourselves for the rest of your days. My turn to walk away but stopped. When that started I was a shinobi of Kuzai. Yes, I was a grass ninja. The people that captured me were shinobi of the Leaf Village. With that I did walk away, leaving you out to finish. That, ladies, has always been and unless something changes will always be a threat we face. Whether you are a housewife safe in a home or a shinobi on a massive battlefield, that will always be a threat. What can be done? 1. Train your bodies. Become strong and able to fight back, to prevent being captured. 2. Train your minds. If you are captured and assaulted, training your minds will help you find a way to take advantage of the situation, gain your freedoms and survive. 3. Train your spirit. It is only when they break your spirit can you be broken. If you have a strong spirit you can survive anything. Survive it, escape it, and then return to punish them, kill them all. Focus on your training. This is not some fairy tale book. This ends the mandatory training starting tomorrow. It is all volunteer and I assure you it only gets harder and nastier from here. Dismissed. The girls quickly got up and left, heading back along the trail. Sakura and Ino walked in silence side by side. They were listening for the other girls. That wasn't any fun. They were so mean. Wouldn't it be great if I was captured and Sasuke came and rescued me? The two were shocked. Did none of them get the meaning of any of that? That's why I hate fangirls. Tenten spoke behind them. They turned and found the older girl walking with Hinata. No words could be said, so the two friends/rivals just stayed quiet. When they left the forest, they saw their mothers standing there waiting. The two girls walked in silence, and were greeted with hugs from their mothers. That night Sakura and her mom stayed at Ino's. Hinata and Tenten walked, and as they left the forest they were met by Naruto and the guys along with Lee. Hey Hinata, Kiba said we were all heading to his place for the night. Naruto smiled. Well, I'd better head home. Tenten want me to walk with you. Make sure you get to your father's shop? Lee asked. Thanks, Lee. Well, see you tomorrow? She said/asked. Naruto smirked. Wouldn't miss it. Lee gave a thumbs up in a nice guy pose and Naruto smiled again and just bumped his fist to Lee's. Smirking, the guys all followed suit as they passed. Hinata wasn't sure but in an act of boldness did the same and raced to catch up. Is it okay? Wouldn't Kurenai will be joining us? A woman with wild hair and red face markings walked up. You must be Hinata. I am Kiba's mom. Now come along, kids. Arriving at the compound, the boys found all their mothers standing with Kurenai, Anko, and Yugao. How did it go? A large woman who could only be Choji's mom asked. The kids looked at each other, and then looked around. Seeing no one was watching, all 6 hit the dirt. Face first passed out, even Naruto. Leave it to the chief to find a way to break the stamina of an Uzumaki. The first day was complete. Kuzai walked into the Inuzuka compound as the parents were picking the sleeping kids up to take them to a comfier bed. The only one left was Naruto. You get him, chief? Naruto asked without moving, shocking several of the people. Yes, he snapped a picture of you 6 out cold. They now think they know your limit, chief replied. Naruto rolled and slowly got up. He may have still been awake, but he was more tired than he had ever been before. So you can't break a Uzumaki's stamina? Choji's mother asked, almost smirking. I haven't tried yet, chief replied. Wait a few days, I will break him yet. I am right here, you know, Naruto spoke. Who the hell was watching us? I could barely notice them. He is a root shinobi, chief replied. See you tomorrow, get some rest. Today was just a warm-up. The chief left, and Naruto nodded and went to find someplace to sleep. Take off the mask. Chief spoke as he walked down the main street heading for the tower. Dog slipped in step with him and removed the mask. Kakashi just walked with him. What do you feel? Chief asked. Uchiha has the skill and drive, but no path, and what he focuses on will lead only to ruin. Kakashi replied. He cares for nothing. I doubt he even cares for himself at the moment. I believe the popular term is emo, Chief nodded. You got your work cut out for you. And the girl? A mess, thanks to Anko. She is doubting everything she thought she knew, the bleached blonde too. Asuma will take care of her. Your focus should be the pink and the prince, Chief said as they leaped up and started walking up the tower. If the pink returns tomorrow, she has a chance. Sure, give me the hard one and call it easy. He is such a basket case he doesn't even try to have a life. How can I teach him to be a team player? Kakashi asked. If it was easy, everyone would be asked to be a sensei, Chief replied as they reached the top and just entered the window. I expected you here half an hour ago, Hokage spoke as they entered. Losing your touch? Rude agent outside of the compound, had to do a show, Chief replied as he sat. Hiruzen went quiet. He wanted to believe Root had been shut down when ordered, but he never actually believed it. Danzo would never stop another of his mistakes. He will need Chief to fix. Forget Root, they have made a move and we have played them. Naruto is very skilled when it comes to tricking people. Cannot wait to see his first sabotage mission. Should be fun. Chief smiled. Kakashi gave the Hokage a debriefing on the day. Hiruzen was not happy with how bad the majority did. Chief was busy reading a scroll and seemed to be ignoring the talk till he cleared his throat. I told you I only expected 9 to make it, and looking at the teams you planned, here he held up the scroll, I have one question. Now both the Jonin and the Hokage grew worried. Uzumaki, Uchiha and Haruno, a seal master, a jutsu master and a woman with a nasty temper, a worse right cross and incredible chakra control. You weren't planning to restart the Sannin team, were you? The room went silent and cold. Hiruzen knew Chief's hatred for Orochimaru, and he never hesitated to remind the Hokage of that mistake. Hiruzen looked to speak, but Chief would not let him. That team was cursed from the start. One is so obsessed with not dying that he is killing hundreds if not thousands trying to make himself immortal, has gone down the path so far that he isn't even human anymore. And he has made the Snake Clan the most despised summons around. Hell, even Enko is distrusted for being a snake summoner. Chief waited for a reply but knew none was coming. The broken look in the Hokage's eyes actually made him consider cutting the man some slack for a second. Then you have one that has gone so far down the path of booze and gambling. I am shocked, completely shocked that she has not ended up dead in some opium den or found herself chained up in some lord's person's slave stable. After their defeat by Hanzo, the only one to recover was Jiraiya, and we both know how hard he had to fight down that path. Tell me, Hokage-sama, that you were not thinking of repeating history again. The 3 men sat and watched each other, waiting. Chief just went back to reading as Kakashi thought on the words. The only time the Rookie of the Year, smartest Kunoichi, and the dead last team ever worked was with Guy's team, and he needs some help with Niji before that history repeats. Kakashi spoke. He remembered how his team with Minato went. I can handle the Hyugas, Chief replied, not looking up. Are you ever going to? Hiruzen started. When you kill that corrupted snake, and not before, and you must be the one to do it, your hand, no one else's. You need to resume training. Chief finished as he stood to leave. Where to now, Chief Kuzai? The Hokage asked. Going to see Danzo. You can't. I can't kill him yet, Chief again interrupted. This is true, Hokage-sama, but I can go say hello. Mai slipped into the compound to be met by Tsum. You almost got in, the clan leader smiled, and Mai just winked. The two walked past a group of Inuzukas that were sitting outside by a fire talking, and then past a building that Mai could tell the sleeping kids were. The next building housed Anko Yugao, Kurenai and Choji and Shikamura mothers. Welcome back, Mai, Choji's mother called. Thank you, been talking about me? She smiled at the room-wide blush as she found a futon and laid down. You want to know what happened to them? Anko and Kurenai nodded. The girls won't tell us. They're not allowed to tell, Mai replied. After my rescue, they vanished. For 5 years he searched, then he found them. Simply put, they were skinned, and I found my lost smile. It was 1 in the morning and Danzo was worried. He had just gotten the report on the training camp. Seems Kuzai had not lost a step in his banishment. In fact, he seemed even stronger. Walking the halls of Root as he thought about what he learned. I never thought he would be back. Every plan I have is in trouble. Wonder if he knows about the plans I used during his absence? He walked through a door to his office/lab, to be met by a fist. Danzo hit the ground. He had not even detected the attacker. He was better than that, stronger, more trained. No one could sneak up on. Hello, Chief, he spoke as he stood up. I am not dead, so I take it you wish to talk. Me talk, you listen, Chief replied as he stood arms crossed. No, not here to kill you yet, and I mean yet. I know you have plans in case of your death. I also know you set up the Uchiha. Here Danzo froze. That was a secret he did not think anyone knew. I am coming for you. I am going to kill every Root agent you have. Then after all your backup plans are obsolete, I will break my record with how long I take to skin a human. And if you think that arm will save you from me, well, unwrap it, let's test that. Danzo did not move. He waited and watched. You are nothing but an old tired war hawk. You want war not for the good of the village. You just want the respect you had. That war is over, we won, but you feel no joy. You did not want to win, you wanted it to go on and on and on. Only then could you feel useful. You want the glory to never end, the glory of a battle won. Chief turned to leave. You will never feel that glory again. You are a traitor to the village, and in time that is all anyone will see or talk about when they speak your name. To say Danzo was pissed would be an understatement. A traitor him never, though he did not even try to argue the rest of what he was told. Naruto started to wake, sore but not tired as he moved around the room he and the others had been placed in. He had asked why Hinata was placed with the boys. She will be on missions where privacy will be non-existent. This will help her, and you all adapt faster. Kiba's mother smiled. Speaking of Hinata, Naruto just smiled and looked where her bedding had been put. She was gone. Checking his watch, He found it barely 3 in the morning. No way she had recovered from yesterday's hell. He meant training. Shino? Naruto spoke quietly. Yes? The boy woke without even a budge. Hinata is missing. Did you remember to tag her? Yes, he replied as he sat up smoothly. Choji and Shika also woke up and sat up. Kiba. Akamaru ear. Naruto whispered. Kiba woke when the dog bit his ear only to have Choji's hand over his mouth. Hinata is gone, Choji whispered. The dog boy just nodded and sniffed around. Hinata is about 90 meters that way, Shino pointed. She has an elevated heart rate but no signs of fear or stress. The boys looked at the bug master, brows raised. The Aburame just adjusted his glasses as he was stared at. I have been working on the normal Aburame tracking using the female Kakashi. Along with the location, the female sends back information that tells vitals, heart rate, stress levels, even if they are awake or asleep. You, Shika smiled. Have been holding out on us. Hinata first, then we deal with Shino. Naruto broke up the Q&A. Naruto, Shino, and Shika led with Kiba and Choji following, eyes open. The walk was quick. Kiba had mentioned a large lake where his family learned water tracking and other things. The three in the lead turned around a tree and stopped. She was graceful, moving in a dance across the top of the water almost in a trance. Shino and Shika recovered first, and just pulled Naruto back behind the tree and led the group back to the compound. Naturally, Kiba and Choji, who had not seen anything, were confused and so stayed quiet. Shika, Naruto started slowly. We just saw Hinata dancing on top of the water? Yes. Using a form we had never seen before? Yes. And the only thing she was wearing was the moonlight? Yes. Good, I am not dead, need a distraction. Naruto finished. Why were you so worried? Shino started to ask. You haven't told her how much danger she is in, have you? Choji asked. I haven't told Hinata. The chief, I haven't even told the Jiji. Things have been happening fast last few days. Crap, Hinata is still. Naruto turned to return to the lake. I have seeded the area, Shino interrupted as Choji grabbed the blonde. We will be well informed if anything or anyone goes near. Akamaru guard, Kiba called to his partner, and the puppy was off like a bullet. Thanks, guys, Naruto smiled and blushed. Shikamaru had been silent. He crouched down and started his thinking. Problem, Shika? Choji asked, still holding Naruto. Just thinking about yesterday. Where those dead bodies came from, how many of the class will return today, and how are we all awake? No way we could have recovered from yesterday with just a few hours sleep. The Nara was trying to work the problem. My colony informed me that the food Tuchi-sama fed us at lunch was more than what it seemed. It was laced with chakra replenishing nutrients, designed to do it at a slow, steady rate most would not even notice. Shino answered. As for the other things, Kiba started. We will know how many return in a few hours, and I don't think we want to know where he got the bodies. They looked way too fresh for me to want that answer. You good? Choji asked the blonde, who had finally stopped trying to break free. Till I can tell Hinata, Chief, and the Hokage. I doubt I will be good, but you can let me go now. Tell me what? The boys all jumped spinning to face the man. None of them sensed the man as he just popped up behind them. Then Naruto spun back around, kunai in hand. The tip was a millimeter from Kurenai's face when Enko slipped a finger into the hole and pulled it safely from the blonde's hand. This shocked most as they either did not sense the women, boys, or did not expect to be sensed Kurenai. Oh, sorry, I am a little on edge. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head. We noticed, tell me what? Chief replied. Shino simply started giving a blunt report about waking and finding Hinata missing, then finding her. All the while avoiding Naruto's attempts to kick his shins. Then Shika took over. Naruto learned in the last few days that a few of the main branch Hyugas, though not her father, had plans to kidnap, brand and sell Hinata legally, as in a betrothal. All they needed was for her to fail, and or shame the clan. Now that it is clear she is open friends with Naruto, we expect them to try and use this to finish the deal. I think her father knows, and that is why he handed her off to you, Naruto added as he looked at Kurenai. It is an amazing coincidence that they came up with that evil plan, and next thing they knew you were her guardian. Kurenai was speechless. First she learns the girl she openly admits she sees as a daughter has her clan trying to sell her off. Then she learns that white-eyed bastard might actually care for the girl. Chief was silent as he looked in the direction of the lake. Mai, who had slipped up quietly along with Sum and Choji's mother, who Naruto learned her name was Chi-Chi. All the women there were beyond pissed. Well, that won't happen, Sum growled as she and Chi-Chi crossed their arms looking almost demon-possessed. You cannot interfere with clan actions, Shika responded. Watch us. All the women spoke at once. And everyone one here will take a hit from being allied with Naruto. Shikamaru continued. Even the Hokage is talked badly about simply because he favors the boy, and Irika-sensei has been basically ignored. Kiba spoke for the first time, forgetting his mother is there. In other words, strong voice, no fear. And I know, Choji continued, that half the village boycotts Ichiraku simply because they serve him. Does it look like I care about their option? Some argued back with a growl. Shino froze and looked to the entrance to the compound. Naruto quickly followed his line of sight, where he saw that Shika's father, as well as his own parents, with Choji's father, had just arrived. A yipping was heard, and all knew it was the puppy's way of both greeting Hinata and warning everyone. Vanish, Naruto spoke as he just stood waiting to greet the girl. Without a word, though Kurenai looked ready to protest, Tiltsum just grabbed her. The group disappeared, and Naruto waited. Soon the little white puppy was seen as he yipped and emerged from the trail, soon followed by a somewhat blushing Hinata, wearing just a long bathrobe holding it tightly closed. They did not have to hide. I know I was spotted, she whispered out, but finding some courage. How so? Naruto asked, not denying the situation. Akamaru would not leave Kiba without telling him first. The moment I saw him I used my sight to look and saw you talking with everyone. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head. Sorry. Let me get dressed, then you can tell me what is wrong, she spoke as she looked up finally into his eyes. The talk lasted a few hours as they went over everything. Hinata got quiet. She held Naruto's arm on one side and Kurenai's on the other. Several of the women were growling and agreeing with some about going to deal with them now. Clan politics are very difficult, Shino again warned. And the Hyugas are the most powerful clan. They practically run the council. I don't care, the bunch of some started to get fired up. As a very pact-oriented clan, the idea that Hinata's own clan would try to sell her off fired up the older woman to the point Yuga was having to hold her down. Arrogant, self-centered, traitorish white-eyed bastards, Anko finished. She had been pacing back and forth growling and hissing till the large Chi-Chi pulled her down to sit on the Akimichi lap. And why the hell are you smiling? Anko shouted as she looked up into a tree branch where Mai sat swinging her legs back and forth grinning like a cat. I know something you don't know, a secret, she smiled. The seconds dripped by slowly. Well, are you going to tell us? Anko hissed out. Then it wouldn't be a secret. That's it. Anko broke free of Chi-Chi and leaped tackling Mai off the tree branch. Of how the? Anko asked as she found herself on the ground laying on her back, Mai straddling her as she placed her hands on each side of the snake summoner's head, looking down with an angelically evil smile. Anko hissed again and rolled, trying to gain the upper hand. It did not work as she was again pinned. No one spoke as the mute assassin just smiled and refused to let Anko up. You're right, Naruto, Chief spoke for the first time in a while. You should have told me, but I had been pushing this training camp and dealing with 100 other things. I did not give you the time. I will be dealing with them very soon. Mai let her up. It's close to 8 time to head to the training ground. Mai smiled, got up and helped Anko to her feet. Thought we started at 10? Shika asked calmly. Tucci should have breakfast, Chief spoke, and most of the group, Anko and Kurenai included, stood to leave. Those that did not have the lunch watched. Some cleared her throat angrily. You never move that fast when I say I am cooking. The group stopped and looked back at the group, not sure how to respond. Tucci has Kushina's cookbook, Chief simply spoke. That did it. Everyone else got up and were ready to join the charge to breakfast. If you want breakfast, you join for the day's training, all 12 hours. Chief informed and waited about 3 seconds. Let us just get our Chi-Chi started when Mai just walked up with a couple bags in her hands. You snuck into our homes and found our training gear? Choza asked, almost smirking. Mai just smiled and nodded, then tossing the bags. Let's go, food's on. The group with Naruto and his friends left with Anko, Yugao and Kurenai. The rest held back. When everyone was waiting, Shikamaru's mother Yoshino, a chunin in her time, started walking with the group next to her husband. And when I say walking, I mean moving quickly through trees and rooftops. Kuramaru just ran along the ground with the triplets as Hana quickly joined the group, leaving. I think we were set up. I think he wanted all the parents to come to this day's training. She spoke out loud, growling at the fact that she was the one boss around for once. That is his style, Sim replied. He likes to mess with everyone, keep them all on their toes. I wonder if Hayashi will come to represent Niji. Oh shit. And as she spoke that, everyone stopped. Chief doesn't expect her to come, does he? Chi-Chi asked, realizing what Alpha was thinking. Crap, we got to move. Chi-Chi, step on it. Some cried as she moved faster, everyone following close behind. The Aburayams were at the back just watching, as is the clan's style. When Shibi's wife, who had shocked everyone as she was keeping up, they did not know if she had training, moves and climbs on her husband's back. Shibi, what do I not know? She asked. It is complicated, and a long story. Niji prepared himself and walked out the door of his living quarters, where he was met by his uncle, who was in fact dressed in his combat gear. Chief has ordered that the parents of whichever kids return today to come as well. I will be coming to represent you this day. The stoic man spoke as he turned to lead out of the compound. As he did, he watched Niji, and he was not disappointed. The boy hesitated and looked over his shoulder at a small hut on the far edge of the compound. Clearing his throat, Niji quickly moved forward and went ahead of his uncle, who in fact had stopped and also looked back at the lone hut. He will not like this. Sakura and Ino woke up at the same time. The night before, they basically passed out in their mother's arms as they walked home. Looking around, they found themselves in Ino's room. The old camp bed that Sakura used to use was there, but like the old days when Sakura would sleep over, the two girls ended up in Ino's bed. The old days, sleepovers and playdates, sisters and all but blood. Then Sasuke came into their picture, and they got stupid. Slowly getting up, neither girl spoke as they went to shower. Having shared showers before this did not even faze them as they washed and treated each other's cuts and bruises. By the gods, they had been tortured the day before. Walking into the kitchen, they were met by their mothers. Breakfast is being offered to any student that returns today. Otherwise, we can make you something. Ino's mom spoke in her relaxed yet regal tone. Both girls wanted to never see that training ground or those instructors again, to run and hide and pretend it was all just a dream, a very bad dream. As one, the two girls took a step, then another, and another as they headed out the door and out of the Yamanaka compound, heading for the training ground. The two mothers just stood and walked out the back to a storage shed, Opening the door, they found their husbands sitting on the floor where they had slept. As a father, Ino's mother started speaking that angry, regal tone her husband learned to fear. You are supposed to spoil and cater to and baby your daughter. It is tradition, it is normal. My father did it all the time. However, as a shinobi, you are supposed to make sure your daughter, who wished to also be a kunoichi, was trained correctly. And if you had trouble, you were to send her to her mother like my father did with me. I asked you repeatedly how Ino's training was going, and you told me good, and that I would be proud. What I saw yesterday was not good, and I was not proud. She was not ready, and she was tortured because we, both of us, failed our daughter. Remember the gauntlet run he did during our Chunin exam, the one that had a 36% death rate? What he did to them wasn't even a tenth as bad as that, and it almost killed our daughter. Never lie to me again. She finished as Sakura's mother just looked at her husband. Do I need to add anything? She asked. No dear, we failed. We can start working on the mistakes Toda Sakura's father started. They went back. Both women spoke as one, shocking their husbands. Come, Chief is having a parents' day. We will be joining her in that hellhole today. So let me get this straight. Shino's mother started as she ate and watched the kids eat. Hayashi Hyuga and his brother Hizashi, who were twins, married a set of twin sisters, one being Hinata's mother, and the other being that Niji's mother? Yes, her husband replied. A set of twin brothers married a set of twin sisters? Yes, I thought that only happened in bad stories. Or good stories that end up using tired old plot lines or somewhere in between, she finished and started chuckling. That is actually the funniest thing I have ever heard come out of the Hyuga clan. I did not think they had that kind of sense of humor, or any sense of humor for that matter. Dear, you did understand the rest of what I told you? Shibi asked calmly as he watched Ino and Sakura walk into the clearing, clearly shocking a few as it was not for sure they would return. Yes, dear, but I think our son is paying close attention to us at the moment. Shibi took his eyes off the girls as they loaded their plates with food to look over at Shino and his friends. Sure enough, the boy was clearly watching. Just then a growl was heard. Some was looking for a fight, and the adults all looked. Niji walked into the clearing, Hayashi right behind him, and no one else. Hayashi felt the eyes and knew something was up. He had been marked. Shortly after Guy and his team, Lee had waved at Naruto and the group, and he and Tenten dragged a protesting Niji over to join the group. Niji got a very cold greeting. Only Shino offered a verbal greeting that was cold as ice. Last to arrive was Sasuke, but he wasn't alone. The Hokage was with him. The boy did not even acknowledge anyone as he grabbed his food, and the old man just walked over to Naruto and his friends. How are you kids this morning? He asked with his grandfather's smile. Good, Gigi. So here to represent Sasuke as his guardian? Naruto smiled, knowing as orphans he and Sasuke were both under the Hokage's guardianship. And yours as well, the old man smiled. Seeing as my godfather isn't here. Naruto replied coldly, and Hiruzen's face fell. Didn't think I would learn about that yet? Naruto asked. Strange enough, my file says I have a godfather, but there is no name. I asked the chief and he said you had to tell me. Something about paying a price? The old man sighed again. Chief was really digging the screws. My student, Jiraiya, the Hokage just answered. The supper pervert? Naruto asked, shocked, then he smiled again. That's why Chief wants me to improve the sexy jutsu. And the blonde laughed. The other boys laughed hearing that, and Hinata just chuckled. Lee and Tenten looked confused as they learned more about their new friends. Here you are, Hokage-sama. I said as she walked up with a plate of food. Soon too Anbu came out of hiding, and the Hokage just removed his robes, and had showing his battle armor was underneath. Giving them to the guards as he took the food. It has been a while since I ran a gauntlet, and he started eating with the kids. With about half an hour left before the start, Naruto and his group started their stretching. This time no one laughed or scuffed. Ino and Sakura stretched together, as the adults had started as well. Niji, who had moved back, started going through his alongside Hayashi. The instructors were not idle, and Anko was going through her gear, picking her canes and looking around. She spotted Ino and Sakura, and as she caught their eye, just smiled and licked her lips. After they shuddered, the snake summoner just looked around more, stopping to stare at the parents and adults she got to play with. Then her eyes landed on Hayashi. My new bitch, Anko hissed a smile. No, don't think so, Yugao replied, and when Anko looked at her. Follow Hayashi's eyes. Anko looked and noticed the clan head was staring at something. As she tracked, she found the chief. He just stood there quiet, holding his cane with both hands as one would a walking cane. All the instructors other than Mai and Chief vanished. Mai drew a long starting line in the dirt. Niji could feel the air and noticed how the chief had not moved his eyes from his uncle. What is wrong, uncle? It seems I have been picked as the chief's training dummy today? Hayashi replied, then seeing the confused look. He picks a victim every day at random, and then proceeds to beat that victim all day long. And that's a long day, Some added, accenting the long, as she walked past them. When the two Hyugas looked up, she just licked her fingers suggestively, then showed Hayashi her middle. The group and dogs lined up, with Mai at the lead holding a watch. Chief simply walked to stand beside Hayashi. The second ticked by till at last Mai waved her hand. Run, was all Chief said as he brought the cane down on Hayashi's thigh as hard as he could. No one had heard Hayashi Hyuga scream that loud in over 10 years. Jiraiya sat looking over his notes the last week insane, and he was still trying to work through what he was learning, thinking back to see a pattern. He was missing something. Jiraiya was pissed and shamed he had lost Orochimaru. The snake had vanished. First, the Toad Sage had tracked him to a group called Akatsuki, a mercenary group that now housed several S-class missing ninjas. Very dangerous situation. Then he learned that the snake had left that group, and when that was the problem, he vanished. Never before had Jiraiya's spy network lost someone so quickly. He started thinking when a blue toad arrived and opened his tongue, handing the sage a note, shaking his head and muttering again. Jiraiya moved quickly. He was only a town over. As it was slipping through the woods, he found the warehouse quickly. Slipping in, he disabled the 2 guards quickly and found a room that was full of cages. The good news, it was almost empty. There was only one person there. The bad news was the person was a young blonde large-chested woman unconscious in a cage smelling of booze. Jiraiya did not hesitate. He quickly freed her. As powerful as she could be, the path of booze and cards was a path of pure self-destruction, and no one could resist opium-laced sake. Not even the slug princess. Performing a quick check showed that nothing had happened yet, but Tsunade was out cold, and he had to pick her up and carry her on his shoulder. Well, where do you think you're going with my property? A wheezy, weak voice trying to sound important called out. Jiraiya didn't even blink. His hands flashed as he walked out the door as the walls of the warehouse changed into the stomach of the great fire toad of. The scream was muffled, and Jiraiya knew those men would take weeks to die and feel every second. Moving quickly with the woman on his shoulder, he headed for the hotel he knew Shizen was at, waiting. He was not disappointed as she quickly opened the window, and he carried the blonde in and laid her on the bed. Same rules, she is not to know. She will wake up, think she just had a hangover. Jiraiya spoke as he headed back out the window. Why don't you want her to know? The young lady asked. He had been watching out for both ever since Tsunade first left. This was not the first time something like this happened, and unless something drastic changed for her mistress, it would not be the last. She will feel in debt to me when I get my date with her. It will be because she wants to, not because she feels she has to. And he was out the window and gone. Finding a tree, he sat high above the ground and distracted himself by again going over his notes on his former teaming. The sun in the morning, and Jiraiya was tempted to get some sleep. Then he got a letter from Chief, arrived by a monkey summons. The Toad Sage had forgotten that the 10-year banishment was about to end. The file that came with it gave very detailed information about the Sandaime, and about his godson. The sage was not happy. Anger at the village, and shame at himself did battle for the sage's emotions. At the bottom of the letter distracted the sage. Find out who leader of Hokage before you return. Then the letter detailed the chief's plan. Now back in the present, Jiraiya looked at his watch as the sun continued to raise. If the plan went through, he should be starting the second day of hell right now. As the clock hit 10, a massive pain shot through his shoulder. A pain, or a memory of a pain he had not felt in years. All Jiraiya could say was 2 words. Training dummy. Tsunade woke with a groan and a killer migraine. Shizen looked to her mistress with mild worry. Not like a few days ago when she woke up. Shizen looked downright scared. The migraine returned and ended as she stood. I need a shower, she growled and started for the bath. Her eye caught the clock for a second. In that second it turned 10. A pain ran across her lower back, so painful it put the Sannin to her knees with a scream. Shizen came running, the pig at her heels. Before she could ask, her mistress just stood up. What happened, Lady Tsunade? Just a memory. A shadow of the one day I was. She shook her head, trying to get that memory away. Of the day I was a training dummy. The scream set the tone of the day. Naruto started his group moving. Choji set a faster pace, but not too much. He will run us harder and nastier than yesterday. Naruto ordered, and Choji nodded and set the pace. It is a safe bet the attacks will come harder as well. Shika spoke and Shino nodded. Yes, there are far less victims for them to choose from, and unlike the rest of the class we return, there is no doubt they will push harder to break us. And with our parents here, I think he will be even more sadistic just to test them. Kiba finished. The prediction turned out to more than accurate. The viciousness of Chief's attack on Heishi inspired Anko. She wanted to make someone scream louder. Naturally, her first targets were Ino and Sakura. Before they were halfway around the lake, they were bleeding from thighs, shoulders, calves. Anko went after all the soft spots, well, most of them. But those 2 were not the only ones. Anko and Yugao both targeted the parents, paying close attention to Ino and Sakura's, but everyone was bleeding by the end of the first lap, even Hinata. The group was focused on the task, but the boys figured it would be Anko looking for the prize she was denied the day before. Crack! Hinata cried out but kept moving as she held her head, and the boy saw Yugao. You got to focus on one threat. We are all here for one job. She vanished with that. The start of the second lap had Negi and Sasuke in the lead. The Hyuga had dashed forward before Guy could reel him back, and soon he and the Uchiha were in a race, seeing as they were both rookies of the year to the point they forgot about the gauntlet. Crack, 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 crack. 5 of the instructors at once attacked, and when they were done, the 2 prodigies/geniuses were bloody beaten and on the ground. The Hokage watched as he ran. At first the instructors were hesitant to attack him. He was after all the Hokage. That was till they spotted the chief appear out of nowhere and give the old man a new scar. Hiruzen just took the hit and started to run harder. He knew his soon-to-be battle with his student would be fast and brutal. He guessed Orochimaru would try and rush him. A man his age would not have the speed or chakra management to keep up with the younger snake, so he would get more speed, remove that advantage the snake had. Hayashi was in hell. He ran as hard as he could maintain, well, as fast as he could with his leg. He would swear was broken from that first shot. Chief would just come from nowhere and hit every soft spot his armor did not cover over and over, and the Hyuga just could not see or track him. Some was right. It was going to be a long day. Then he felt it and screamed again. Chief had come up behind and just brought his foot up between the man's legs. Chief had a few rules. One was if it puts them down, use it, and kicking a guy in the balls always butts them down. Damn those boots again, Hayashi thought as he felt the hidden metal. He held himself, and just vomited on the ground before forcing himself up. Good thing too, as the cane came down and left a small crater in the ground right where the man had been kneeling. Stop playing with yourself and run, boy, Chief called as he walked behind the hobbling Hayashi, who still held himself. Some growled as Kurenai tagged her again, this time causing a little trickle of blood. All was forgotten as she heard Hayashi scream out again. She knew that kind of scream and looked back and smiled as the arrogant clan head hobbled while holding himself. Worth it. The ninja dogs were also getting a workout. The massive Kuramaru was doing the best as he leaped, ducked, and dodged every attack. So far only Dog and Mai had been able to land a hit. The triplets weren't so lucky. You three got lazy, the large dog spoke as the three whined at the pain. The run continued. They realized it would be harder as the third lap finished and they just started a fourth. Ino and Sakura were just carrying each other as they walked. Even Anko was either tired or starting to show signs of mercy, though no one risked asking her which. The only one who did not seem tired was Chief. Hayashi had hit the ground and the man just grabbed the clan head by the hair and pulled him to his feet and forced him to walk, one hand holding him up. Finally, the call was shouted as the group seemed to finish the last lap all together. Even Lee was tired, and at the end everyone was on a knee or laying on the ground, except Naruto, who was leaned forward, hands on his knees but still up. Equipment check, empty your gear in front of your circle, Chief ordered and pointed at the large purple circles that just showed up again. No one spoke as they obeyed, pulling out their weapons and other gear. Naruto and Tenten pulled out scrolls they had stored their gear in. You buy those? Kiba asked. Made them, had clones working on them all yesterday and last night, the blonde replied. You been doing seals? Tenten asked. How long? Since yesterday morning, Naruto replied. How? She started to ask. Long story, tell you at lunch, Shikamaru panted as he finished and laid on his back. So what do you? Hey, that is my dad, Tenten called as she spotted a new body. The boys looked and spotted a man not much taller but very stout. He walked by looking at the tools with an eye that screamed weaponsmith. He was sitting and watching the whole time, Shino informed her. How did he get to sit and watch? Kiba asked as he started to stand. He did not eat the food, the Hokage replied as he moved near the boys. Chief's rule, want the food, you have to earn it. Speaking of food, have you noticed in the 20 minutes we have been stopped our energy is returning quickly? Shino asked as he looked around. Almost everyone was back to their feet, even Ino and Sakura were back to their knee. The blonde just did a backflip and gave that smile. Hinata was quiet, she was watching her father. True, he had been mean to her, even cruel, but what Chief had been doing was making the generally kind girl feel sorrow and concern for her father. Plus, Naruto mentioned he was not part of the plan. The Chief's actions are fueled by a personal matter, Hokage spoke, watching the girl. A matter you will understand soon enough. What is this? Tenten's father asked as he stopped and looked at the equipment in front of the blonde. Where did you get this crap? Naruto just looked at the man as he picked up a kunai. That, I bought from Ken-sen, for 700 yen. Most of it I had to scavenge cause no one would sell to me. The smith just tossed the kunai away, and you did not come to my store. Why? You were the most expensive smith in town, and I was told you did not sell to students. Naruto replied. Who told you that? Tenten asked, offended someone would speak of her father or his shop like that. Mizuki, it wasn't till the last few days I learned how he set me up and I have not had time to resupply. You will come by my shop tonight and I will supply you correctly. We won't be getting out of here till late, Naruto spoke. When you are done here tonight you will come see me. It will not be free of charge, mind you, but at a fair price, the smith spoke till some interrupted. No way, Jen, charge him full price and put it on the Hokage's bill, she shouted, and when Hiruzen looked at her. Your damn law kept our families from befriending the boy sooner and better. We could have prevented that shit. And Jen, my hunter team now buys only from you. That was a good deal. Some was one of the lead hunter team captains. Some of the other adults nodded, and Jen smiled. Seems Chief was right, it would be worth his time closing the shop for this. Hey, can you do custom orders? Anko cried out with that wicked grin on her face. I made a Biki's trunk and everything in it, was all the smith replied. Anko's eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas, a very sick, twisted Christmas. Sold. When can I get it? Finished with the inspection? Chief called out, pulling everyone back to the situation. Good, full counts begin. Everyone groaned as they started. How soon, Tucci? Chief called out. You will know when you hear the bell, he replied with a chuckle from his cooking area. Over and over they went up and down. When someone slowed, the cane motivated them to speed back up. The instructors just walked through the rows, striking a person hard. No one could tell who was hit harder by Chief, Hayashi, or Naruto. Hinata, could I ask about last night? Naruto asked after what felt like hours. Oh, that it is hard to explain, she replied. Stop, Chief called out. Line up for sparring. As the group moved to the new large purple circle, Hinata stood with her friends. When I was very young, I think, my mother took me out one night to her privet pond. She called a gentle dance of the moonlight. I watched her for hours. She promised to teach me, Hinata told them as she looked to the past. I had forgotten it till last night. I was having a dream about it. Woke up and moved on my own to that lake. It was like I was in a trance. Lee, you first, Chief called. The group watched as Lee cheered, then the spar began. Lee was fast as he moved, almost no one could see him half the time. Chief was faster, he did not dodge, he just blocked and countered. Lee only stopped as he was put on the ground over and over. Niji was watching, he scoffed to himself. As he watched he thought of all the ways he could end the fight, having beaten Lee repeatedly. Then a thought entered his mind. Byakugan was useless with the chief. He asked what he could do without it, and realized he had become reliant on it. His family's greatest weapon had become their crutch. He paid a hell of a lot more attention of Lee and the chief. Sasuke was watching. Lee was fast, and Chief looked to be able to block and counter everything. That loser can't land a single shot. When I get my Sharingan I will surpass them all. Lee was knocked back hard but just leaped to his feet, so overcome in joy of the spar he made a really stupid mistake. First gate. Lee, no! Guy shouted, but it was too late. OP. He couldn't finish as Chief moves faster than anyone had ever seen, pushed Lee's arm to the side and slammed his fist into the boy's chest, ending whatever he planned, forcing the boy to pass out. Chief, while holding the boy, lifted his right root and kicked out to his side where his foot found the jaw of Guy, who had been rushing to his student's side. The green beast hit the ground as Chief carried Lee to where the Hinata and Tenten and the boys were and left him. Okay, Naruto started. What was that? Tenten started to explain the gates and the Hokage filled in a few gaps. But he closed the gate, Hinata replied. Is that how normal is that? Few can do it, Hiruzen replied. It takes Kage level chakra reserves and control. Kage level? Naruto asked. Yes, Kage level. If it wasn't for the fact he would kill me for thinking it, I would try to hand the title of Hokage to him. That would be dangerous, father. Asuma spoke as he stepped closer. Remember what happened when he proctored that one Chunin exam? Or that year he worked the academy? The old man just growled and nodded as the chief woke up the knocked out Guy. Dumb fool, you're next. Chief shouted as he stood waiting on Guy to stand. This fight was faster. Where before Naruto had watched Chief evaluate and work with Lee, this time Chief just beat the Jonin. Your father warned you about the gates, teaching them to the boy who would use them in a spar is reckless, and Chief stopped and used a heavy axe kick to put Guy's head into the ground. We will be talking about this later, Niji. The young genin walked forward, not sure what to do. He had just watched his sensei, the taijutsu master, get beat without even landing a hit, and through all this time, he never saw the chief show any sign of fatigue. He wasn't even breathing hard. The match did not last long without the Byakugan. The Hyuga could not even get close. His Jukin was empty without being able to see the targets. Niji was kicked from the circle easily. Kiba, the boy, did better. He was quick and good at hand-to-hand, but he did not have the experience to back it up. Choji was next. Here Chief changed, he went to a different form that turned out to be a lot like the Akimichi, a lot of power, little skill. Choji was pushed from the circle quickly. Tsum, the woman, came hard and fast, used every skill she had and lost quickly, though she was smiling at the end. Shino, Chief called, and when the boy entered the circle. You can shut that off now, Chief? Shino replied, confused. Shibi was also confused till. So, you can't control it, you don't even know, do you? Chief asked. Okay, quick lesson. Aburaim are the best at spying and infiltration, only Jiraiya surpasses them, and he learned a version of the Aburaim cloak. Chief started. Everyone listened. Your allies emit pheromones that actually block senses, they mask you, shield you, make you invisible to the naked eye. Shino nodded. Maybe this is why people tend to forget he is there. At least he wasn't being ignored, they really couldn't see him. Your file shows that your father tends to stay back and watch. Which is a characteristic of your clan. My guess is your allies sensed this and activated the cloak to help you. Your father should be able to help you learn to turn it off. Shino nodded and took a stance. His taijutsu was different than the academy style that he normally used. It actually took Chief a second to recognize it. It took Shibi half a second before he looked at his wife. When did you teach him your style? He asked his wife, who just smiled. When you weren't looking. Her grin, and when his eyebrow rose above his glasses, she replied by sticking her tongue out at him. Before Shino, I saw 6 holes you missed, she called as Shino was standing up and heading back to the group. The boy just nodded to his mother and stood by Shika. How many secrets are you keeping? Shika asked his friend. How many are you? Shino replied, and the young Nara just nodded the point. And so, on he went down the line. Adults and kids, no order. When fighting a student or member of Team 9, Chief was mostly defensive, did not stop him from ending the bouts with Ino and Sakura in less than a minute, and that was with adding the times for each girl together, less than a minute total. As he faced the adults, he pushed. They gave a rather decent showing and Naruto learned a few things. 1. Shino's mother's name was Midorando Mitsubachi. Some called her Meme, the rest of the adults called her Midori. 2. Chief was just as hard on Sakura and Ino mothers as he was on the girls. Combined they lasted 6 minutes. Chika, he called. And here the younger ones questioned. They did not know a Chika. Till Choji's mom Chichi stepped forward. I thought her name was Chichi, Ino questioned louder than she thought. Chika Chiyoko Akimichi, the large woman spoke as she stepped forward. But that won't change anything, I am still Mama Chichi to you, Ino. Ino blushed and ducked her head. Yes, Mama Chichi. Chichi was wearing a sleeveless shirt and a pair of dark brown leggings and was tying what looked like a mawashi. She stepped into the circle and set her feet waiting. Chief looked at her and got into his own stance. Began, the Hokage called and Chichi charged, and pushed Chief back 3 inches. So far no one had moved him back yet. Then started a fast contest of hands trying to gain leverage on each other. Chi-Chi kept trying to pick and throw, after her momentum to try and push him from the ring ended. Chief would either outpower her lift, or use another means to break her hold, kick to the shin, slap to her side, even a headbutt, which gave her a cut on her eye. For 10 minutes they grappled back and forth. Ino's mother, was clapping while Tsum and Choji cheered loudly for the woman. Even Chozo was giving out encouragement, till Chief got under her arms finally and pulled using a hip throw to put the big woman down on the ground out of the ring. It was the closest anyone had gotten to beating the Chief. Chozo didn't even do that well. "Hinata," Chief called as he helped Chi-Chi up. The young girl was scared as she stepped forward, for once neither her father nor her cousin scoffed at her timidness. Niji had his ass handed to him in his spar and Hayashi still hurt. "Easy, Hinata, he is not out to hurt you. He is testing you to see what we can do and what we need work on," Naruto whispered to her. She just nodded and went to the ring. She did not activate her eyes but took her standard Juken stance. Chief just looked at her. It wasn't a cold stare. Hinata felt like he was waiting for something. Hinata attacked and Chief started a strange bouncing dance going side to side. Every time she attacked he just dodged and slapped her hands away. He moved in a way that as time went by Hinata would get tangled in her own feet. "What is he doing?" Hayashi asked himself. "He is acting like no she can't." Some were getting tired of watching the Chief play with the girl. It was the first time he acted this way. One person was getting mad. Shino and Shika spotted the shaking of the blonde who stood between them. Both boys looked at each other after staring at their friend and both held up fingers counting down. 3, 2, 1. Hinata danced with the moon. Naruto called out, not knowing just how powerful that one sentence was. The group as one looked at him, then the adults looked back at the girl. The kids however stared at the blonde. Ano and Sakura shout things calling what he said a stupid distraction. Not speaking, but both Niji and Sasuke agreed with the girls. Hayashi was wide-eyed and pale as he watched his daughter. Not saying a word, she changed her stance from the solid footing of her clan's style to up on her toes. "Let's dance," was all Chief said. Hinata charged. She flew and attacked, staying on her toes. She attacked and spun around on the tip of her toes to avoid the counter. Those watching had never seen anything so graceful, and those that could see it or knew that style so deadly. Sim was grinning evilly as everyone watched Hinata push and challenge the Chief. He was still holding back. As she walked up beside Hayashi, who was deathly pale, seeing she inherited her mother's kindness, her gentleness, and it seems her fighting style, the woman whispered. Yes, the man whispered more to himself than to her. Hinata was pushed back, but she stayed on her feet in the circle. When she looked back up at the Chief, she had a fire in her eyes no one had seen before. So powerful her Byakugan activated no hand signs or words. "But she has lost," Hayashi spoke out. "What?" Naruto growled. He was getting pissed how that man could just disregard his daughter so much. "Chief," Hayashi started realizing how it sounded for once. "Has a special skill that makes the Byakugan useless." He looked to the boy. "Once our eyes are activated he vanishes." "Really?" Shibi asked in a surprised and almost humorous tone. "Yes," Hayashi replied and turned to face the man on his other side. Arie, he stopped and looked back at the spar. Hinata was still going and getting closer and closer. Then she landed a finger on the Chief's hand. He actually winced and shook his hand, reopening the Tenketsu point in his palm just as fast as she closed it. Hayashi stuttered, "She can see him?" And he activated his eyes to make sure. Sure enough, the moment he did the Chief vanished, and it looked as if Hinata was fighting air, and it seems her mother's eyes. Some finished and walked away. Hinata again attacked, and as Chief went to block she shifted, catching him off guard as she pivoted and brought her foot around in a roundhouse kick to the side of his head. Chief hit the ground, his glasses falling off. He got on his knees and grabbed his glasses and replaced them before anyone could see his eyes. But he did reach and touch the spot where she kicked him. Pulling his fingers back he saw the red of his blood. Getting to his feet he grabbed the clasp that kept his coat fastened on. Finally a real fight, he growled as he went to remove his coat only to have a hand on his chest. Mai had walked up and stopped him. Confused, the Chief looked and found Hinata on her hands and knees panting. She was done. Quickly clipping his coat back together he walked to the girl and helped her up and over to sit next to Naruto. At that moment only 4 people were left: Naruto, Sasuke, Hayashi and the Hokage. Chief just ignored Sasuke as he had the whole time. The emo boy was starting to get pissed at the lack of attention. Hayashi was pale and only his training kept him from pissing himself when the Chief locked eyes with him for a second. Naruto knew he would not be called. He had spared just a few days ago, so the Chief already had all the information he needed. "Hiruzen," Chief called. "I need a fight or I'm going to kill Hayashi." The Hokage just put his helmet on and stepped into circle and took a stance. Knees bent, one hand back and above his head, the other down, fingers touching the ground. Those who knew the monkey style the Hokage learned when he became their summoner knew this was not a spar. The fight was just that, a fight. The Hokage moved around, rolling, ducking and striking like a monkey. Chief just hit hard and violent. "That's basically a monkey versus a gorilla," Shika spoke as they watched. And he was right, Chief was using a monkey form that looked like an enraged gorilla. The two seemed on par with each other. Time no longer mattered. Ding ding ding, a loud bell rang and both men stopped panting as Tucci rang the bell for lunch. "That's 2 hours for lunch. Chief called, you better be ready at the water's edge in 2 hours. The group started to move, but Chief charged at Hayashi and decked him hard, holding him by his shirt. So he would not fall, he slammed him to a tree, Where is she? No one was moving as they watched the normally controlled chief lose all control as he slammed Hayashi again. Where is Kyoko? Niji heard that name and charged forward. What do you want with my mother? Where is she? Her and I need to speak, Chief growled, still pinning Hayashi to the tree. My mother is in mourning seclusion. She will not speak to anyone. She has refused to speak to anyone. That statement told more secrets than any other. Niji's mother hasn't spoken to him since his father died. We shall see, Chief growled and let the man go and just started walking out of the area. Walking, not vanishing like normal. Better run, don't want to miss this, Mai said as she grabbed her plate of food and followed the chief. Soon everyone followed suit. Plates in hand, they followed the marching chief as he walked all the way over to the entrance of the Huga compound. Even Sasuke joined as he wanted to learn more about the chief. The group followed along, walking behind the angry chief. While most did, Anko decided to take her favorite way to travel, on Kurenai's back. Hayashi was walking limp and all right behind the chief along with Niji, and as they approached the entrance to his clan's land he frantically waved the guards away as the chief just walked right into the center of the courtyard. Taking a deep breath, Kyoko, get your skinny ass out here, the chief shouted, causing the entire clan to stop and look at the man, many shocked to see him there. Chief Instructor Kuzai, Niji spoke with as much formal authority as he could. My mother is in seclusion, she will. A screen door opened. Not speak, Niji said as he slowly turned to face the door that opened. To anyone, the place went silent as a pale woman with black hair wearing a pure white kimono came walking out of the hut and straight towards the chief, the clan head, and Niji. No one spoke, no one moved, as she stopped before the chief and bowed at her waist as far as she could, eyes down. Welcome home, father. Amazing how 3 simple words can change the world. War is over, I'm getting married, I am pregnant, and of course, chief is back. Throughout all of history, the great changes, the earth-shattering changes, the what the hell do I do now changes, always seemed to be caused by 3 simple words. Niji had no idea what to think anymore. Everything he knew was just thrown out the window, and he found it rather hard to breathe now. Thank you, daughter, let me see your face. Chief spoke, and as the woman stood up again, Chief just crossed his arms and stared at her. It was the kind of stare that has broken greater men. Many in the compound took a step back, some looked ready to turn tail and run. Well? Chief asked with a growl. Yes, father? Chief's hand shot out so quickly no one even saw it till his arm stopped an inch from Niji's face. Then his thumbs slowly lifted the boy's height, showing the seal. What is this thing doing on my grandson? Chief asked with a growl. The woman did not answer, either did Hayashi. Both knew this was not going to end pretty. The caged bird seal started an older Hyuga that had walked up with 4 other men. Naruto saw the man that first threatened him as well as 3 of the men who were part of the plan. He did not hesitate to move between them and Hinata, who was still shocked and blankly staring at the chief and her father as well as her aunt, is placed to ensure that if a Hyuga falls, no enemy can steal the secrets of our clan's dojutsus. Bullshit, Naruto whispered. Then where is yours? Chief asked calmly. You're all shinobi of the leaf, at any time you can be sent out on missions. Where is your seal? No one spoke. Seems the Hyuga elder was very stupid, because he did not get the warning. Hayashi and Kyoko did though and actually smiled. The truth is, Chief continued, you use this seal on branch members simply because it gives you power over those you think are below you. So what? The oldest elder spoke. We are not Anbu, you can order us around. Kuzai. Releasing Niji, Chief just walked to the 3 younger elders. You 3 are still active jonins. I know this cause you still collect your monthly pay, that is unless you're ready to tell the Hokage that you are stealing from the village and other shinobi. Here he pointed to the group that had followed the chief Hokage standing out in front, arms crossed. You can't make us. One of the younger 3 started to speak, trying to find what courage he had left. We are not Anbu, we don't fall under your command. Nara, Chief replied, and the 3 elders paled. Shikaku Nara, Shikamaru's father and the Jonin commander, stepped forward. His normal bored, tired, lazy face replaced with something few had ever seen. No, but you are under my command and I have more Jonin-only missions on backlog than I have Jonin squads. And oh look, there is 3 of you. The man spoke, eyes hard. His scars seemed to grow in appearance. Best sit down and just shut up. It was not an idle comment, it was a command. And the 3 did just that, they just sat down in the dirt. Iho Hyuga, Chief started walking in front of the oldest elder. Some call you the real power of the clan. Some even call you, in closed circles that is, the real leader and ruler of the village. The man just sneered. He thought he was above the chief. There was no loopholes for the chief to use. Iho Hyuga could not be bullied. Clever, you went through all the paperwork, made sure you stopped your pay. In all truthfulness, I have no way to use my rank with the shinobi of the village to make you do anything. Chief spoke. For a moment Iho smiled to revel in his victory, then he saw something that made his blood run cold. The chief also smiled. I guess I will just have to bankrupt the Hyuga and take everything they own, putting all of you into indentured service till your debt to me is paid in full. Chief's smile fell as everyone gasped, and it was everyone, even the adults that knew about his relationship to the Hyugas had no idea why he would say that, and even less knew how he could pull that off. What the hell are you saying? We owe you nothing. Iho roared. Hokage, I need you to step forward as a witness. Chief spoke, turning away from Iho as he cut his thumb and went through a set of hand signs. A puff of smoke later revealed a capuchin monkey with a red vest. a small shoulder bag and a pair of wire-rimmed round spectacles. The glasses actually showed that this monkey was older. "Ah, Kuzai, it is rather late. What do I owe this visit?" The old monkey spoke, then looked around at the gathering. "Ah, Huga elders, I know what you want. One moment." The monkey crawled into the small shoulder back, going deeper and deeper till the tip of his long tail vanished. "Wait, I thought the Hokage was the monkey summoner?" Kiba asked, shocked. "Seems there are two," Shino replied. "That is why their duel was a draw. They have much of the same training. Wonder what he is going to pull from the bag?" Kurenai asked as Asuma stepped next to her. Anko snorted from her back. "No idea, but it is a hell of a show. All we need is a guy selling dango. And a beer," Asuma added as he watched. Kyoko just stepped closer to her son, who had yet to say anything to her. She did regret not talking to him all this time, and knew she would be paying for that mistake. Hinata just stood with Naruto staring at the chief, trying to work out the man, but she couldn't. She had to speak to him. Hayashi just stood like a post. He watched as the chief just stared down the elders and found himself looking forward to this. He was stuck with tradition and rules and guidelines he had to follow as head of the clan. Chief did not. He could just bull rush his way through all that red tape. His family might just be saved if he survived Chief's anger first. "Here we go," the monkey spoke from in the bag. Then everyone watched as a large piece of old folded up yellowing paper was seen being pushed up out of the bag. It was bigger than the monkey itself. "That's a blood contract," Tenten told those around her. "Used for blood seals. Whatever is written in that cannot be ignored or broken. The contract for the marriage of Hitomi and Kyoko to Hayashi and Hisashi Hyuga," the monkey spoke in an official tone. "Who is to read it?" "Me," the Hokage spoke, and the monkey just nodded and leaped over to the old man. "Hiruzen, good to see you. We warned you not to test Kuzai," the monkey spoke as he handed him the contract. The Hokage took it and started reading. "I believe what he wants you to read is here," the monkey pointed. "Out loud," the monkey spoke as the Hokage nodded and started reading, clearing his voice. "All clan member in direct line of Chief Instructor Kuzai, starting with his daughters and ending with his 6 times great-grandchild, are exempt from ever wearing the mark known as the caged bird seal. And should any of them for any reason ever before forced, made, or even asked to wear the seal, full refund of both brides' dowries is to be returned." That caught everyone in the Hyuga clan, and most watchers. "What's a dowry?" Naruto whispered, but before anyone could answer, the Hokage continued. "Furthermore, an interest on said dowry of 75% a day every day will be charged the moment any Hyuga, regardless of whether they are main or branch, to start the moment said seal is placed." 250 chiefs started to speak for the first time since he called the monkey million. You could hear a saban falling on wet grass. Genma tested this out at the amount mentioned. 250 million, that is how much my daughters brought to the clan in their combined dowries, and I can call in that debt at any time with the interest that has been added up from the moment that seal touched my grandson's head. Chief growled and stepped to Aicho, who was pale. "Now can the Hyuga clan pay all that, including the interest right now?" How much is that?" Kiba asked. "Let me do the math," Shika started to say. "Hey Naruto," Choji cried out. And when the others looked, Naruto was on the large boy's shoulders trying to get up on his head in an attempt to get away from the math. "Seriously, Naruto, you need to work on that fear of math. If Udan found out, he would own you," Shino spoke calmly, trying not to laugh. Against her will, Hinata finally moved and looked at the blonde, who was hissing and fighting to stay on the boy's head even as said boy was trying to pull him down. Once again, his antics broke through and Hinata giggled, breaking her out of her shocked silence. "Come here Naruto, come down, I'll protect you from the evil math," she called, causing a few to chuckle as the boy slowly climbed down. Back with the elder and the chief, no one had spoken. Aicho knew the clan did not have that much money, even with all the lands and properties around the Land of Fire. He could know he did own the Hyuga clan. "Sit down," Chief barked as he pointed to the dirt next to the other three. Once he did, Chief spun around and decked Hayashi, dropping him to the ground. "That was for using that fucking seal on your brother," Chief roared, then pulled the man to his feet before decking him again. "That was for using the seal on your brother in front of his son." Then the chief spun and pulled his cane, spanking Kyoko on the ass with it. "That is for not stopping him," he called as his daughter just rubbed her rear. "And you," Chief called, turning to the still silent Niji. "You, my grandson, have more right to hate the main family than anyone. You may just have the right to hate them more than me. It is a close thing." But here he growled louder and got into the boy's face. "Of all the people to hate, condemn, ridicule, insult, and just be an ass to, why did you choose to be an ass to the one person who always treated you with a smile and tried for years to be nice and kind and caring to you?" Niji slowly stared at the man, then turned to look at Hinata. He could not answer. "That is a level of stupid I will not allow in my shinobi forces nor my family," Chief continued. "Either I will beat that stupid out of you or I will kill you. Would not be the first time I killed a family member for being that stupid." The chief looked at the group. "Hinata, come here," and the girl with Naruto and the boys, they were not leaving her side, walked to him. The chief looked around at the Hyugas. "You call her a failure, the elders hate her." He looked at Hayashi and glared. "Yet no one knows why the elders hate her so badly." Mai smiled and pulled out a piece of paper many recognized as litmus paper. Everyone watched close. Chief called, and here Hayashi was trying to prepare the final nail to his coffin. "If what he fears happens, he is fucked. Just mold a small amount of chakra." Hinata nodded and took the paper, In a split second the paper became soaked and split in two at the same time. She has her mother's affinity, Kyoko shouted, shocked and happy. Ah? Naruto spoke. I will get an explanation about this at some time, right? Causing all to sweat drop. The reason, Chief started. That the elders were so cruel to her was she has the affinity that had beat all of them over and over again. Hinata could use the Suki no Yasashi Odori, gentle dance of the moon. A style of juken that only her mother could use. And one Hitomi did use to beat everyone. They feared Hinata. That shocked everyone, Hayashi most of all. Why my daughter loved you I will never know. She saw something in you that I could not, still cannot, Chief spoke calmly. I suggest you show me what it was she saw before I rip your fucking spine out. He went to the Hokage, who was still reading the contract, making sure all was legal. Thank you, Haku. He told the monkey, please inform Mac that I will be needing him and his crew for the next several weeks if not months. The monkey just nodded, and as the Hokage finished took the contract back and then poofed out. King Enma? Chief asked, looking to the staff the Hokage had with him. The white head of the Monkey King popped out. There is a fight coming. Tell your brother to be ready. You sure he will be needed? The monkey asked in a concerned tone. You know how I feel about overkill. Chief replied and turned away as the large monkey just nodded with a sigh. Looking at the group watching him, he turned to those he was training that day and checked his watch. That's 1 hour, you only have an hour left of lunch, make sure you're ready. He called, and the group took that as a reason to head back. Everyone but Hinata, and with her staying the boys stayed. Hinata, we will have to speak of this, but not tonight, I promise tomorrow night we will talk, and you can ask me anything you wish. Nodding, she just turned and headed back with the rest. Naruto hesitated. Is what happened here something I should know about and understand? He asked the chief. Boy, what happened here should never have needed to happen. Eyes out. Those looking to harm Hinata have just lost everything. They will harm her now more out of revenge than anything else, and they will be desperate now. The chief and Naruto turned and left. Kyoko looked at the pale Hayashi. What the hell happened to you? She asked, looking over his beaten form. Training dummy, was all he said. Then you better run. She turned and walked back to her hut. Hayashi just nodded and started to walk with what little dignity he had left as the head of the clan. Chief came out of nowhere and cracked the Huga across the back of his thighs. She said, run, you have no dignity, you are not a clan leader today, you nothing but my personal punching bag, and if you don't wish this to continue tomorrow, run. Chief shouted as he vanished again.